Today, we are here to tell you why traditional Zelda dungeons are never coming back. You might be happy about this, but I sure am not.
Well, now that we've done a couple in Tears of the Kingdom, I think we had said, hey, this isn't exactly what they said this was going to be. But then it made us think of like, this has kind of been a 10-year process for the Zelda series. And it feels like the ship has sailed.
I think that it has. And it might be disappointing to some people. It might be a relief to some people. But we should talk about it a little bit more because this is a pretty big departure for the Zelda series.
We should and we will.
We should and we will.
That's right.
Yes. As usual, everything that we do here on this channel is made possible by our wonderful Patreon subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting us. If you'd like to join us, we are at patreon.com/Kit and Krysta.
That's right. We have a free trial available for our most popular tier and also a great new free tier.
Yeah.
Which gets you a lot of cool stuff that you can't do on our other social channels. You can vote in the polls that we do right in this podcast. You can participate in our great Vista Challenge.
I was just going to say, we have a really special thing that's happening right now for everyone that's part of our Patreon community, whether you are joining and just checking us out at the free tier or you're in one of the other tiers that gets other great benefits as well, but you are eligible to be in our Vista contest, and the winner, as chosen by the Vista King, will be getting a Tears of the Kingdom Collector's Edition, which was donated by one of our wonderful Patreon superstars.
It's full circle.
It is literally the best community ever. Can you imagine, guys? Like, our wonderful Patreon community member, Kyle, donated this wonderful prize to us. And then now we can have this great, fun Vista contest for all of you. So yeah, it is really, really cool.
That's right. So give it a look. People want to know. People want to see the thermometer.
The thermometer.
Of how our funding of getting to Japan is going. The number is going up, which is most important.
Of course.
And as always, everything on YouTube, super thanks and super chat-wise goes directly into the thermometer.
The thermometer, yes. I need to make an interactive thermometer, I feel.
Thermometer-san. Let's call it that.
Thermometer-san. Yeah, I need to make like one that has like a...
Interactive?
Like a...
Oh.
Like, one of those sound effects, like a little animation maybe. I need to be better at my graphic skills to do that, but that's a nice goal.
That's right.
Yes. So thank you for everyone that has already donated to our Japan Fund. It is very much appreciated. We're hoping to get there this year and make tons of great content for all of you. So it's going to be a fun time if we make it there.
That's right. We have a lot of great stuff that has gone up on our YouTube channel recently, a lot of great Zelda videos. I'm a big fan of our testing viral Ultra Hand builds videos. If you have not tried the wheel from this video,
the wheel is the best one.
You are missing out.
Yeah, the Ferris wheel does not take a lot of materials. It's stuff that
very battery efficient.
I was going to say very battery efficient. It's stuff that you can just find pretty easily at any of those little like construction station things. And it's fast.
It gets around.
That thing can roll.
On ground. In water is amazing.
Going through a bokoblin camp and terrorizing them in a giant wooden wheel is quite entertaining.
Yeah, so that worked. Some didn't work to comedic effect, but a lot of fun stuff there. We've also put out our Korok launching video, which is controversial. Proven to be controversial.
We are getting on the bandwagon of the Korok torture, but as you said, we did it in a productive way. I don't know if that's just to make you yourself feel better about your misdeeds.
I wouldn't call this torture.
It's not great to launch a Korok out of the game.
To a better place. It's like, in Lord of the Rings, the elves go to this island to live out their days. This is what the Koroks are doing. They don't want to be on Hyrule.
Oh boy. I think we broke the game in one of our launches.
I think you did,
Yeah, so you guys have to watch because I don't think it can go any further than that. I think that was like literally the end of the game. The game world, which is pretty funny. But we built all sorts of crazy devices to see who can launch a Korok the furthest. And of course, everything goes to our challenge board. Again, controversial.
Well, I mean, we can say what happens in that at least.
We can?
I think so. Oh. You got on the board. Congratulations.
I got on the board, you guys!
A whole 1 point.
It's a boon day for the Christopians.
Okay.
A boon day.
The comeback is on.
It's on. It's on.
It's exciting for you.
This is my NBA finals right here.
All right. We have also released, we both really love this video, our Finding Hyrule from Tears of the Kingdom in real life video. This is a special one for us.
This is a really special one. We have been thinking about this video for a really long time. I would say since Breath of the Wild, because we both were just so incredibly like sucked into the world of Hyrule in both Breath of the Wild and of course now in Tears of the Kingdom. Like whenever we play this game, we look around where we live and we're like, this is literally where we live. This is like our actual lives. So it's just so nice to... We did this video where we went to these locations just around, basically around like the Bay Area where we are, and
they were all within like a 5-minute drive of one another.
Yeah, that was the weird part. Somehow they were all very close together.
Yeah.
Which is great, but we basically found all of these real life locations that look pretty much identical to locations in the game. Obviously we found, Hyrule Field and Lake Hylia and even like a cool kind of water temple, which is actually called a water temple.
That's the most remarkable one, if you ask me.
Yeah, I just can't believe that we live next to a place that's literally called the water temple. That's just weird, right? But yeah, it's one of those videos, when I was editing the vlog after we finished filming it, it was like, wow, this is such a cool thing that a video game can like inspire you to do something like this and take you... Not only like you're not only immersed in the game, but you become very aware of your own surroundings and the beautiful places that you might have taken for granted. And it's just like a really great realization that, like this is like a real part of your life, So very cool, very special video. Hope you guys check it out.
We had, we can share a behind the scenes story. We had some interesting interactions with locals on some of those trails where we were trying to film this video. And the first one, this was like a pair of like older ladies.
Yeah.
And we saw them and they were like, excuse me, can you direct us to the bathroom?
Yeah,
and we
so
said,
we did.
It's over there.
Yeah, we had just walked by
and then we were getting set up where there was like that big rock at our first location.
It was like literally the trail and the rock was like 2 inches from the trail.
And we were standing like literally 2 inches off of the trail getting ready to do this. And this lady came back, she walked back the other way and she's like, excuse me, I'm on the staff here. You really can't be doing this off trail.
It was like 2 inches off the trail. Also, if you were staff here, how come we didn't know where the bathroom was? That's my question. I think they were messing with us. We were having too much fun.
Old ladies getting their yucks in.
A lot of old ladies up and around in these areas. Yeah, a lot.
I have also seen some people comparing this video to the old Sights and Sounds video.
Yeah, you were the brainchild behind that video.
Which I appreciate that comparison. I would say this video is a slightly different in that, we're talking in it. It's not just us walking around.
It's just not ASMR.
But that is definitely a video that I have a lot of love for. That was definitely...
Well, you're the one that like had the idea to do that video and then made it happen. So
well, it was like me and the guy I worked with on. I think we were the only 2 people who really liked that series internally. A lot of people were saying like, "What the heck is this? Why are you wasting your time walking around in the woods?"
It's funny to try to explain the concept of like ASMR to a bunch of Japanese executives, which it's kind of weird because it can have like a sexy.
The first rule of that is never say ASMR because they're like, so you're a pervert. I get it.
Yeah.
Which is not what ASMR is.
It's not what ASMR is, but there are parts of it that could be a little sexy.
If you are wanting to jump to a conclusion about it, that's a conclusion that you might jump to if you're uninformed.
That's right.
Yes.
It's not all ASMR is not like that. I watched lots of like people getting facials.
Yeah.
ASMR is very relaxing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, but it's a weird thing it's a weird concept to try to explain to Japanese executives when you're trying to get a video like this approved. So there was a lot of like semantics and like dancing around. But
so that was a short-lived series, but I love working on it. Somehow that hasn't been delisted yet. Maybe that'll be next. After they hear this. Oh yeah, we should take that down too.
The person that was in the video is no longer at Nintendo either, so sorry.
It happens. Life goes on.
He's just in the woods now. It's fine.
He lives
in the woods.
He decided to live in the woods. The aforementioned Vista contest. So this is a video that's going to be coming out next week if people are wondering. The winner will not be notified until the video goes live.
That's
Because we
right.
don't want to have people out there blabbing like, oh, I won.
Right. You gotta be surprised.
Until this comes out. There'll be a moment of surprise.
Yes.
We have gotten a lot of submissions for that.
We have?
We have.
You have been tracking the submissions
I have-
in our like personal email account. So that's
It's not our personal emails. It's a business email.
account, but like,
Jeez.
but still, you manage.
I have the access to that when you don't.
Business email account.
Like many things related to this, I have the
know.
access and you don't.
Somehow.
We've gotten like 60 submissions
Whoa!
so far.
Oh shoot!
And I have not gone through any of them yet. It's like the envelope will remain sealed.
It's like the Academy Awards
until the deadline passes, at
Yeah.
which point I'll be going through it with you.
You have to do it to keep it all fair and good here.
Exactly.
I got a question from one of our lovely Patreon family members over the weekend that was like, if I take a screenshot from a side quest, is that okay? Like everyone's very like, I appreciate the attention to detail on the Vista contest.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course it's fine as long as you're not showing like a major story spoiler or anything. And this person was very relieved to hear that it was okay to do that. So
I hope
yeah.
people learned one of my lessons from when we did this for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and is don't just take a screenshot from a cutscene.
Yes.
Actually stage it yourself.
Stage it yourself.
Right.
Yeah. The cutscene ones are a little bit too easy because that's
Yeah,
pre-staged.
it's like the game's doing it for you.
Exactly.
Right.
You want to, and we want to hear about why you chose. That's my favorite part. It's like people. Why did you have a reaction when you saw this particular scene? You know, or like this landscape or whatever? Because that's what makes it special. Is like what you guys were feeling at the time. So, anyways, Vista contest is going. Submit and join our Patreon at the free tier if you wish, but at the other tiers if you want to support us.
And again, collector's edition at stake.
Oh man.
Which is an item we do not have and will continue to not have.
I was just so floored by the generosity of our community, honestly, and Kyle is one of our actual superstars. And has been just a huge supporter of the channel and just so generous to donate this as the coolest prize ever for the Vista contest. It's awesome.
Stamps.com, that's an account you have the logins to.
Oh yeah.
I'll keep some, you'll keep some, like Stamps.com.
I will be fulfilling your shipment. I'm also the shipping department. I'm HR, graphics, and the shipping department apparently, which is fine. I love it. It's great.
Controller, you hold the purse strings, what is a comptroller? There's a controller and a comptroller.
I don't know what a comptroller
The first time I saw it, I was like,
am I operations?
Surely
am
this
I
is
like Don James of this entity?
Surely this is a typo.
Comptroller.
Well, I think if that's the role that you're in, you should at least know what it is.
I don't
So
think
I'm
I
going to
am
say
the
no.
comptroller.
Maybe we need to hire a comptroller.
I don't think we should hire anybody.
First step, find what that is.
I think I'm operations.
All right. I have a heck of a story to share with you in just a moment about E3 days gone past.
It certainly has gone past.
A long time ago.
Yeah, these are like early days. Where
Really?
in the heyday
Yeah, this is a fun one.
of E3.
But before that, I want to say this episode is sponsored by HelloFresh.
Yay! My
Get
favorite.
HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
You guys know we are both huge fans of HelloFresh, using it all the time for our meals at home. Recently, I have been enjoying, so in the month of May, they had really great like Asian American HelloFresh recipes.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know a lot of like Chinese recipes for my mom and stuff, but there's some recipes from like other Asian cultures that I've never cooked myself. And I really enjoyed that. It was like a good learning experience for me. And all the ingredients are pre-portioned, so you don't have any waste. It's really affordable. And the most important part, the best part is that it's delicious.
Right.
So.
There are more than 40 weekly options to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
So the variety, which is the spice of life, is in full effect.
Yes,
this is your
good
opportunity to plug your eternal favorite, the pescatarian option.
I do love the pescatarian or the veggie option because I don't eat a lot of meat. So it's great to have options when you are putting together your meal kit. I love that. It's been really fun. And I certainly am like making a lot of recipes where I would never have made if I didn't have HelloFresh. So
Yeah, and they're very easy and quick to put together once you finally get it. So go to HelloFresh.com/KitKrysta16 and use code KitKrysta16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. I repeat, go to HelloFresh.com/KitKrysta16 and use code KitKrysta16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping.
we'll put the link right over here and also in the description below. We hope you check it out.
That's right.
All right, you did something bad at E3.
Well, that's a strange way to start this. So we had the PlayStation showcase last week.
Yeah.
So we had PlayStation on the brain, which made me think back to one of my earliest E3 memories, which involved PlayStation.
Yeah.
And this was my first year in the industry, actually, which would have been 2004.
Oh my
Believe it,
gosh.
coming up on 20 years
You're
in this
old.
industry.
I was-
I didn't know you.
I was still in school at that time.
I didn't have a clue who you were.
I didn't even have a job. I was like in
My
school.
life was much better then.
Hey! Your life was empty and sad.
Podcast was like, what's that?
Yeah.
Did not
Your life was
exist.
so empty and sad you had to do this.
The Gizmondo was
It's a hat.
just an apple in
Hot
somebody's eye.
commode.
The apple of his eye. So this was my first E3, which honestly deserves multiple other story times because there's a lot of strange and interesting things that happened.
The early E3 days, which I was not quite a part of, were the stuff of legend. Like
Yeah.
I would hear about these, kinds of stories passed down when I started to attend the show. But yeah, some of the stuff that you're going to talk about is like very much, I don't know, like I just feel like that was the time and place for it to happen, and it's like literally never going to repeat again.
I see it as there were like a couple eras of E3. There was this era that I'm going to talk about, which I would call like the classic era. I think of most people associate E3 with this time.
Sure.
Then there was a couple years of weirdness. There was like the Santa Monica E3.
Yeah, and that was my first E3. The Santa
where
Monica
like the
E3.
industry decided like, hey, this is too expensive. We need to scale this back. And the ESA's great decision was, okay, we'll do it in this junky airplane hangar in Santa Monica.
That was weird.
Misfire should have been, that was a sign for the future. And then they revived it. They brought back the old format. And that's
Yeah.
what we got until the thing went kaput.
Right.
So this is, I would say, very much in the classic era of E3. So like I said, my first E3, I was working at an agency, and basically the way that worked was you basically got assigned, sold off to one of these other companies, these client companies that you were working with. So I was associated with Dreamcatcher, which was I would call it a mid-sized PC publisher at the time. I don't believe they still are around. Their kind of big claim to fame game, which they had in this time that I worked on, it was called Painkiller, which is a pretty cool first-person shooter.
Yeah, that's pretty well known.
And that studio's gone on to be acquired by Epic, and like they really made a name for themselves. People Can Fly is the name of that studio. So it was a very much like unassuming, like I was not like working the Nintendo booth or like a mega booth. Like it was like a very like small, reasonable sized booth, just like hammering out these press appointments. And I didn't see a lot of the people that I worked with day to day because they were all farmed out to these other companies. So like it was me, and there was like the contact that I knew, and we were grinding out these media appointments. But I would meet up with kind of the crew from the agency at the end of the day. But one of the things they had been talking up was, all right, we're going to try and get some of our people into the Sony PlayStation party.
Those parties back in the day, those E3 parties were like the hottest thing ever.
This was the thing to do.
It was literally the thing to do. Everybody would always try, even in my era of E3, everybody would try to either get on the list or sneak into these parties.
And all of the three platform holders had these sorts of parties. Like Nintendo they would call it the business reception.
The business reception, but
it was just a party, and you would invite, like your high profile business partners, like people from retailers or people from, third parties, and like it was just a party.
It's an elbow rubbing kind of thing.
Right, like they would have like a big like musical act.
Guest,
like what was the one that always got like your Maroon 5?
Well, yeah, when I was packing up the archives when the office was moving, I found a bunch of random Maroon 5 stuff in like the basement, and I was like, "What is this?" And someone was like, "Oh, it's from the E3 party that they." Anyways, it was just very bizarre. But yeah, it's like a big deal. Like it's not like some little like hotel reception.
Yeah.
It is like a big
and
party.
In that later era of E3, these were no more. Like people realized that this was a losing equation financially.
Yeah, and also like you kind of looked bad if you were like quote wasting money on a party of the scale.
Right.
I guess it was sort of like shameful to do it.
But back then, nobody knew better. We were all dumb. And the company that was known for having the most extravagant parties was Sony. Oh. And this was Sony, like so 2004 was still the PlayStation 2.
So they were hot
So they were like riding high, top of the game, arrogant as could be, just like just burning money.
Yeah. I can see that.
So again, it was my first E3. I didn't know what I was doing. So I'll follow along with you and see what we can do. And they're like, well, we're not invited. First problem.
First problem.
So we need to basically scam our way in.
Yeah.
But, we'll go. We'll see if we can do it. If not, it'll be, just a fun time trying to get in. Like, all right, fine, sure.
What else are you doing anyway?
Exactly. I don't have anything else. So I don't know what to do.
Right.
Again, my first E3. And there's like so many, like dozens and dozens of other parties, but a lot of them are really like sad and like sketchy and depressing.
Yeah. So no, you want to get into like one of the big three parties.
You don't want to go.
You definitely want to get into one of the big three parties.
So we go in the evening, and they had this party at the same location for multiple years, basically until the end of that era, until the Santa Monica E3. It was at Dodger Stadium, where the Los Angeles Dodgers play baseball. It wasn't actually in the stadium, it was in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. So it was huge.
Right. So, you had to like drive out a little bit out of the city to get there. It wasn't like walk down the street and like, hang out in some hotel or something. So we take a taxi out to Dodger Stadium with our fingers crossed, hoping that this would work. So start talking to the people. Like, so what exactly are we doing? How are we getting into this? Do I need like Jason Bourne, like a fake passport
ID?
Or something?
Yeah.
Or like what exactly do I need?
What's your story? What are you going to tell the door person?
And one of the people I worked with was extremely well connected. And she said, so I've been talking to some of my friends at EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly, and they are going to be leaving the party a little bit early.
So they're going to give you their passes?
So what we're going to do is we're going to meet them outside. They're going to there's like multiple wristbands you need to get in, like multiple layers of it, but they're just going to give it they're going to give it all to us. They had a small group. We had a small group. They're going to give it all to us.
You're basically going to do a swap.
And when you go check in, you are going to say that you are them and that you needed to step out to meet another guest. Momentarily step out.
That's actually a good plan.
To meet another guest.
That's not a bad. You had a plan. That's
okay.
Good.
I mean, it should work because the people running this is such a big party. The people running the check-in, they have no clue who any of these people are.
Exactly.
They're just looking at like a name on a list. It's like, okay, fine.
And they're not checking ID. As long as you have the wristbands already, you probably should be fine.
Right. And this is probably a much harder scam to pull off these days. Like, there's probably a lot more layers.
Now there's like RFID stuff. Remember when we went to the Mario premiere? There's like so many of those like RFID checkpoints, and now you can't.
So I wouldn't recommend actually trying something like this these days because it's probably
they get in trouble.
Work.
You're not going to get in. So anyways.
So we're kind of hanging out there for a little bit, waiting for these people to come out, and sure enough, on the time that was discussed, they show up.
Wow.
And we do the exchange out of sight, the multiple wristbands.
In the back alley?
There's no back alley in the parking lot of Dodger Stadium. You just kind of like turn your back.
Changing wristbands? Suspiciously?
But you kind of, put on a brave face and go talk to the person at the check-in. And guess what? It works. So we
what name did you use?
I don't remember. Shane Bettenhausen. No, that's not who it was.
That's not who it was.
That's not who it was.
Hey!
I don't remember who I was supposed to be. And the thing, so again, only very important business partners get invited to this.
Right.
So if you have enough to prove who you are, like they do not want to
offend you,
kick you off.
Yeah, because then it's like, oh, what you questioning who I am?
I'm the buyer. I'm the head buyer at Walmart. And now I'm mad. And now I'm dropping my order of PlayStation 2s.
This is where you can really like lie and be like, I'm a Kennedy.
They don't care. They want the buyer from Walmart. And so it works. So we get inside, and it's not like the party is right there. You have to get in these little... I don't even know what these things are. I would describe them as like pods of golf carts, where
What?
there was like a head golf cart, and then they had these sort of like, it's like a train without a track.
Okay, I was like Disneyland.
Right, so they would...
Like a little golf cart shuttle.
But it's like groups of 4 in these little pods, and they would take you to the party.
Okay.
And that was like a 5-minute ride.
Because the place is huge.
Dodger Stadium parking lot turns out is massive.
Well, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And this party is probably huge.
Right. But you can see, like, off in the distance, it's like an oasis in the desert. Like, they have these gigantic tents. There's crazy just lights shooting out of everywhere.
Oh.
And the music is just, like, going off. Now,
who is the musical guest?
This is the hallmark of these parties.
Yeah.
Is like, so Sony has Sony Music.
I know, right? So they have the best musical performance, probably.
They went like all out in getting like actual legit musical acts.
Who?
And there would never be just one.
Who?
So I actually went back and looked this up. This is documented online.
Okay.
So that year it was the Black Eyed Peas, Missy Elliott,
Oh my gosh!
and the Crystal Method were the 3
Wow,
musical
that's
acts.
pretty good.
Crystal Method maybe not so high
Missy
profile.
Elliott is
But again,
the best one.
In 2004, this was like, oh my gosh,
This
wow,
is like this is like a
top tier.
headlining. It's almost like a music festival level.
Right. But I remember like
Set
everybody
list.
was like, oh, you know, these are good. Like the people were so spoiled. They're like, oh, last year they had the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh,
and
wow.
like it wasn't as good. And I was doing my research. The following year they had Incubus, who you love.
I love Incubus. I went to one of their concerts. It was really good.
So
back in that era.
like the music at this was legit. And,
yeah.
and really shows like how much Sony was like
They're just shelling out money.
Shelling out for this thing.
Yeah, they don't care. They're on top of the world at the time.
They don't like this party must have cost millions of dollars.
Oh, absolutely. Easy. Yeah.
Millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So, we kind of get there and our group kind of like spreads to the wind. So I'm just kind of like walking around taking it in, and it's very much like it's kind of like...
Who'd you meet? Who'd you see? What'd you do? What'd you eat?
Well, I didn't know anybody, but it's very much like a Cirque du Soleil come to life kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like there's
different stages.
There are these like performers just like roving around in these like costumes. I remember people like on these giant stilts or like going off of like trapeze things that had just been set up.
Gosh, that's so wild.
Very kind of like otherworldly.
Yeah.
Place
like a Moulin Rouge
to be.
experience.
And like you would go into any one of these tents and they would have like different types of food and like a different bar set up that would make different drinks.
It sounds like a tech party nowadays. Back does E3
Well, that's who's got the money now. Yeah.
Well, no one has the money now. Let's be real. No one has the money now. Those are days gone by too. But that's like the same vibe as like. It's like, how can we, it's like when you watch like Silicon Valley, like that random TV show, it's like, how can we show off as much as possible? And this is what we're going to do.
Exactly.
Like, it's so extravagant, right?
Right. And there were multiple stages for the different musical acts.
Yeah.
Couldn't just have one stage with them
No.
cycling through. The music was actually like quite forgettable. Like I didn't spend...
You didn't go see Missy Elliott?
I like saw it. I was like walking by. I was like, okay,
you didn't get down to Missy Elliott?
That's what that is. What was her song? Superfly?
Superfly.
Or was that the name of her album? Whatever.
Get your freak on?
So, I'm there for like a couple hours and, just kind of hanging out, taking it in. And I decided it's time to go. So there's a big finale to this story.
Oh.
Big
Couldn't
finale.
get out?
No. Big finale.
Nothing hot?
Coming in, you take those weird shuttle things, same thing, going out. So I pile in, the group piles in, it's late at night, this group is a little, you know what I mean?
Ah, okay.
So it's a very just kind of like...
They had too much fun.
Oh.
It's not great to like put people that are maybe a little bit party too hard in a moving vehicle, but whatever.
But as we get going, the person behind me, somebody stands up to make an announcement. Everybody! And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And I turn around and I see Ken Kutaragi, the quote, father of the PlayStation.
Oh my God.
Looking like the cat that swallowed the canary, looking as happy as can be, just like...
It me.
And that must have been like his personal assistant or something who had stood up to make the announcement. He said, everybody, thank Mr. Kutaragi for the great party.
Are you kidding me?
And the group was like 3 sheets, so they were just like...
Did you do a deep bow?
This is a very strange thing.
Sama.
So I shared a roller coaster car with Ken Kutaragi back. I'm sure he got back into his limousine and into the night he went.
Yeah.
But
his night was just getting started.
That was my big night at the Sony E3 party.
You know, you're not really a party person.
I'm not.
You're really
But it was
non-party.
like, you have to see this.
You have to go.
This
Yeah.
is like an experience.
Yeah.
And actually, 2 years later, in 2006, I ended up going, because at that point I was working with Konami.
Right.
And we were working on Metal Gear Solid 4. So we
you were invited.
We were a legit
how
business,
the tables have turned.
business partner.
Yeah.
It was not as fun to experience it the second time, because it was
It was
very
like
much
very like muted.
it was very much the same thing.
Yeah.
And then after that, the PlayStation 3 came out. It did very badly. They stopped doing this party.
Yikes.
E3 changed forever. It was all gone.
It was all over.
It was all gone and over.
Yeah, the parties that we would get into later on, and we can share another story time, were a little bit different, but they still kind of try to get the vibe back. But I think the era that you went with these huge, like, multi-million-dollar...
Peak excess of E3.
Exactly.
Right.
It is such a, I don't know, like a cautionary tale almost of it's never going to be like this forever.
Right.
You know? And it's the same thing with these like tech parties back in the day. It's going to come back down. Like you go up, you're going to come back down. So anyways, it's good to experience it in the moment.
But I mean, even now, like Sony's riding high, they're making money hand over fist. They're not doing this. They learned their lesson.
That era is gone.
Right.
So it's cool that you got to experience it when you could, you know, like it's not your money, who cares?
Yeah.
You just have fun, so it's fine. Yeah, that's the best part.
And they did have one last thing I'll say about this is they were very legendary for giving out sort of tchotchkes or giveaways.
Oh, the giveaways, yeah.
So
the gift bags. What'd you get?
In 2004, I got sort of a PlayStation messenger bag type thing.
Okay. The messenger bag was very popular in the early 2000s.
More famous in 2006, they gave away these like little small suitcase, like duffel bag things that had PlayStation all over it. And the story goes that a lot of people on their way back from E3 had their bags stolen. Because people just saw like a giant PlayStation logo.
And they were like, I'm going to, something cool is inside this thing.
I'm a shady person at the airport. I'm going to steal this.
Back before TSA.
I think I ended up giving that away to somebody because I was like, I'm not going to
that worked with us on our team at Nintendo still had his PlayStation suitcase.
That must have been the one
that like he had gotten from the party, and he took it to a Nintendo event once. And you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think I do.
Okay, yeah. And then like we were in the Redmond Nintendo office, he was like trying to like very like stealthily put his jacket like over the, and I was like, what the heck is this? And he's like, I got this for free. I got this for free. I think later on, Nintendo did give everybody suitcases, like little Timbuktu bags.
Yeah.
And then I think he made the swap. But back in the day, he was still using his PlayStation suitcase.
Nintendo did have you would often see like a Timbuktu item that had a GameCube logo on it from that era.
Yeah.
I never got one of those.
Yeah, we have the Timbuktu Nintendo suitcase. There's a lot of Timbuktu stuff.
You get a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not
which you promptly throw in the
garbage.
garbage.
I always throw it away because it's really ugly. Anyways, fun stuff. Good for you.
Yeah.
You did not share a golf cart with Missy Elliott, so I'm a little disappointed.
No, just Ken Kutaragi. What happened to Ken Kutaragi? What's he doing now?
Is that like on a beach somewhere?
I'd like to know.
He's with Missy Elliott on a beach somewhere. That's the story I'm telling myself.
That's a fun story.
All right, great.
Let's move ahead, excuse me, to our Never a Minute segment, which we're doing Two Truths and a Lie, Tears of the Kingdom edition, because it's fun to just swap stories about this game.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the things that you say that sound out there could be plausible.
This game is wild.
Could be things that you've actually done.
Exactly. This game is wild. And so everyone's playing it kind of a different way. You know? Everyone's going through it a different way. So it'll be interesting to see if you can pick out if you know me well enough to pick out what's the truth and what's a lie.
We've been keeping each other very well informed of what we're doing in this game. But you might not know everything. You think you know it all about me. You don't.
We just came off a long weekend where we ignored each other for 3 days. So
that's right. And this will transition into what we're playing. So we'll keep talking about Tears of the Kingdom. But this is a good way to get warmed up.
I'm ready. I'm so excited.
Right.
We both have 3 sets of 2 truths and a lie. do you want to go first?
I'll go first, sure.
Okay. Go for it.
This first set is following a bit of a theme.
Aha. Okay.
I defeated a Lionel while taking no damage. Number 1. Number 2, I defeated a Frox in the underground while taking no damage. Number 3, I defeated one of the bosses in a dungeon while taking no damage. One of these is a lie. Can you guess which one?
I think the Lionel is a lie.
That's correct.
Yeah, you know what? We can talk about this a little bit later, but the bosses in the dungeon are not terribly hard.
So far, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, but so I feel like your gameplay skills are quite easily good enough to take no damage.
I've actually not even tried to fight a Lionel in this game yet.
Yeah,
I honestly haven't seen many.
I have seen 2 Lionels that I promptly ran away from.
Just run away. Yeah.
I did fight a Frox in the underground.
Yeah.
That was a pretty fun fight, actually.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that. And I definitely took some damage, but good on you for not. My hearts were broken, is what I gotta say about that. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. I have cried over 5 times playing Tears of the Kingdom.
True.
Hey, listen. I secretly looked at walkthroughs for both dungeons, but didn't want to admit it to you until now.
Oh.
I like the side quests a bit more than the main quest so far.
The second item here is the lie, the guides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never.
You take a lot of pride
I would never.
in not using a guide. For some reason, I don't know why. You're the person who spent 3 hours on a shrine.
I don't care.
right.
I don't care. I would never look at a guide.
It's your time you're wasting, not mine.
I'm not wasting it.
All right.
It's precious time of problem solving, puzzle solving. I've cried so many times already in this game. I cannot believe it. All the time.
Only 5? Why so low?
Well, I haven't done a lot of the main quest yet, but some of the side quests, I'm just like that fairy side quest, cried then.
Yeah.
Every time I see anybody from any of the regions cried.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, it's ridiculous. What's the deal?
You're a fragile person.
Maybe.
Speaks to your greater emotional state right now. It ain't good.
Keep it together. Okay.
All right. Well, we really easily
Okay, that was the
identified this
easiest
first
one.
round.
That was the easiest one. First round.
Here we go.
Okay.
I'm focusing on using the Great Fairy to upgrade my climbing gear armor. In addition to large zonite, I'm using the duplication glitch to get more diamonds. And finally, I have used a flying vehicle to fly across the entirety of Hyrule.
The third one's a lie.
Correct.
I know you and I are both duping like crazy. Okay, we have put. Okay, I have a story, a dupe story for you. That was a moment of scare for me.
Were you the duper or the dupee?
Doo doo.
What?
What? So remember how you were like, oh, you texted me. You're like, oh my gosh, they just patched the game. You put your switch in airplane mode.
Yeah, I did.
You gave me the warning, and I immediately did that. And so I was like, I'm good, nothing to worry about. And then like the next day, I picked my Switch back up, and it was like, do you want to install this update? And I was like, oh, absolutely not. And I was like, how did it download it? Then I realized.
Hardwired.
Yeah.
I pulled the plug too.
Oh my gosh, I didn't pull my plug. I was dangerous. I had auto update off
the grid.
Always auto update. Now I'm not even docking. I just plug it into a USB-C because I'm like too scared. But every day I'm like, don't ask me again because I'm so duping.
On mine, the little bar has shown up somehow, but obviously it's not filling up.
It's not filling. You're not on Wi-Fi, right? So,
No.
Or you're not on the internet. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. We're both doing that to get our batteries all squared.
I've already done it. I don't know why I'm still haven't updated it yet. I should, but
well, I want to get the blue batteries.
I don't need that. I think
I do. I just want all of it.
that's a lot of.
No, it's fine. I have enough, pretty much. I'm like halfway there.
All right.
So now I'm just gonna do that. Again, this is like an addict. Like I can stop whenever.
You kind of are. Yeah.
I can stop whenever.
I really had an itch to fill up the full 8. It's 8, right?
It's 8.
For the full 8 batteries.
Well, it's 16 with the blue, right?
Again, just the first pass. Yeah.
I want him to have the belt with all blue.
I felt pretty good after that.
The all blue batteries. I think that's cool.
Your next set.
My next set. My favorite region is the Elden region. I accidentally made dubious food. Didn't think it was possible since I know most of the recipes in Breath of the Wild.
I haven't seen dubious food at all in this game.
I'm a terrible judge of distance and have blown myself up multiple times trying to use bomb arrows.
Absolutely true. I think this is tricky. I think number 2 is the lie. Oh, number 1 is the lie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know my
Because
favorite region is not the Elden region.
Because it was like, is dubious food in the game?
It
I haven't seen a lot of people talking about that.
I did make it accidentally.
Okay.
I was really like, wait, seriously?
Does it look different?
No, it's so like pixelated and disgusting. But I'm like, this is not. I combined ingredients that were like very non-dubious. It was like meat and like a mushroom and some like one other herb. I don't know what happened. It's weird. Maybe I pressed the wrong button. I don't know.
Okay.
Very strange. But yes, I did make.
So what is your favorite region?
I think I like the Akala region, obviously, still. And I like the region that's sort of like close to Kakariko Village.
Yeah.
Especially now because it has like that big ring in the sky.
Yeah,
It's a cool little landmark. And we talk about this in our Hyrule real life video, but there are those ruins by the beach on that side as well. That's really pretty.
Yeah.
So I do like those 3 areas still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yes. Hello.
Last set of 3 here. I am using my shrine bucks. I don't know. What do you actually get out of shrine? What's that called? I just call them shrine bucks.
What is a shrine buck?
The thing you get for finishing a shrine that you turn in 4 of to the statue.
Oh, the
what is
little
it called?
orbs?
Whatever, shrine bucks.
Shrine bucks?
I'm using my shrine bucks to evenly upgrade my hearts and stamina. Now that I am more comfortable with Ultra Hand, I've mostly stopped using my paraglider to get around. Or, my favorite fuse combination is the minecart on a shield.
I think 3 is the lie.
No, number 2 is I'm still using my paraglider quite a bit.
You are? Oh, I thought you made your little hover bike, and I was thinking you probably were like getting around that way now.
I use that quite a bit.
You seem to really like the hover bike.
I do like the hover bike. The hover bike is something everybody should make. But you do need 9 zonite, which is, it's not a lot, but it's not a little.
Yeah.
So you do, and again, if you go in like a building or something, it goes away.
It goes away,
So
yeah.
you do need to have a good reason to use it.
Okay. To like get up a mountain, you'll use it.
Yeah, if it's like I'm covering a long distance or I need to easily get something that's like
Sure.
a high level up. So paraglider is still quite useful.
Paraglider is the most powerful thing in the game,
Yeah,
honestly.
it is.
Most powerful. What is your paraglider design? Is it the Twilight
I still
Princess?
have the Twilight Princess
I
one.
put the Sheikah eye on there, which
yeah.
is very cool. I also got the one for the Clover Gazette, which is like a piece of newspaper.
Oh, that's neat.
Which I
haven't seen
really
that.
like. I think that's pretty neat.
Huh.
I was going to change to that soon. I like how you can customize it. That's fun.
Yeah.
All right. Last set for me.
Yes.
My solution to most shrine puzzles is building the longest bridge possible.
True.
I fought a Gleeok and decided. I fought a Gleeok and defeated it on my first try. I'm finally making some progress in the depths by carjacking a vehicle from the Yiga clan, using it to ride around.
Well, the Gleeok one is obviously the lie.
You didn't have any confidence in me that I could defeat a Gleeok.
We did in our private stream.
Well, you were
our
playing.
private Patreon stream. I fought a Gleeok, and you just mocked me mercilessly as I died.
Well, you were bad at it.
Well, what happened to you? Please tell us about your encounter.
I was okay.
But what happened?
I fought the one in the right next to the snow stable.
Yeah.
So the ice Gleeok.
Okay.
And I used a bunch of fire on it. And this was a little easier. I feel like the one you fought on the bridge is like the environment is really tough because he can like just throw you off and then
Yeah.
you die
Oh,
from
that's
fall
true.
damage.
Yeah.
This one is like there's like a huge field around you.
Okay.
And these like ice pillars. So you can like you have a little bit of a chance to like dodge it
Yeah.
or like climb up the thing or whatever. I was doing okay, honestly. I did not beat it, but
But you died.
I definitely died.
You still died.
I still died. But I was like
That's what I wanted to
was
hear.
doing some you were doing like one damage.
It was not doing a lot
It
of
was
damage,
terrible.
yeah.
I was doing like I was getting it like ticking off some of its health at least, but I think I just need to like last longer, you know? But that one is probably generally the easiest one, I think, out of all. The lightning one is really hard, I think.
That's a runaway.
No thanks.
That's a major runaway.
No thanks.
Yeah.
The Yiga clan, that was hilarious. They had a car that had like spikes all around it. I stole it from him, and then I was like driving around down there and just like mowing down people. It was really fun. I was so upset because I was like, can I save this design for later? And they wouldn't let you. I'm like, dang it! I really wanted this like a cool car. Yeah, so fun.
All right, so let's just roll right into our conversation of what we've been doing. Maybe a good way to start is just to say like what we've done in the last week.
Yeah.
Again, if people are worried about spoilers, they can probably make a call on if this is
Yeah.
something they want to stick around for.
We won't go deep into any story stuff, obviously.
If not, just skip ahead like 30 minutes or so.
Whoa, 30 minutes?
I don't know.
Whoa. Yeah, so in the last, since we were last here, I have done another dungeon. I have completed the Fire Temple.
So how many total?
2.
2, yeah.
I have done some pretty, like, I would say, significant side quests. So I am all done with the Stable Trotters side quest, which links to the Great Fairies, and like waking them all up so you can upgrade your armor.
Okay.
That was one of the best side quests I think I've ever played in a game. So I highly recommend that to everybody. Again, I cried a lot, so go play it. And then I have also done a fair amount of the Dragon Tears quest. I think I have maybe like 3/4 of the tiers done. So getting a good sense of what the heck is happening.
Yeah.
And and you sort of, you're talking to like Impa along the way and going to some really cool locations in Hyrule to like discover what is happening with these glyphs.
Have you been doing those in order? I know that was your big concern with this.
I started at the first one, obviously, and then I did like 2 out of order, and then I realized that if I just go to where she was telling me to go to, I can get the map of where the glyphs are.
Oh, I didn't know that even exists.
And then I started doing it in order.
Does the map tell you the order?
It looks, there's like a thing in this room that you go to, and it's like a circle. So I'm guessing that is the order.
Where is this?
This is in the Forgotten Temple that is in the canyon. So when you first talk to Impa, she's like in that big field.
With the hot air balloon.
With the hot air balloon. Yeah. And then she says, go to the valley. There's a Forgotten Temple in there that has some more info on these glyphs. And you're like, okay.
Oh.
So then I went to that, like...
What valley, though? There's a lot of valleys.
It's in this canyon that's right in between the Heber region and the Gerudo.
I think I know what
Like,
you
it's
mean.
like kind of down the western side. So if you go there, she is there again.
Oh.
And in the temple, there is like this room that you find that has... like a map of where all the glyphs are.
Yeah.
And also like it shows you on the wall like maybe I think that's the order. That's what I've been doing now. So
that is not like a dungeon. It's just a place you go.
Yeah. It took me like 5 minutes.
But there's not like some big puzzle or battle or something there.
No, you just walk over and talk to her, and there's a shrine in there. You do the shrine so you can get back there.
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna take a picture of this because I might need to refer to it later.
Right.
So I took a photo, and then I've been just like kind of referring to it as I did found the other glyphs.
Okay.
I have been, so my goal is to do the water dungeon next. So I've been sort of exploring that side of the map, like the Zora region and the Akala region, and like just kind of getting my ducks in a row so I can hit up that dungeon this week. So yeah, some good progress.
Good. I have also done 2 dungeons now, wind and water.
Okay.
When you said you were doing fire, I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm doing something else.
Why?
It's good to have different things to compare.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll probably do fire next. Because I've heard people say the lightning one's kind of annoying at times.
The Gerudo region scares the bejesus
Yeah, I
out
haven't
of me.
spent a lot of time there.
I did find like the oasis there, like sort of the start of that, and then of course you walk in and then your map goes to nothing.
Right.
So I'm like, nope.
Right, totally.
That area is always the last I go to because I find it to be very difficult. So
Yeah. So I've done those 2. I have finished all of the glyphs and the dragon tears.
Aha!
Something
Something important happened to you.
And I have I've got the Master Sword back.
You did get the Master Sword back. Yeah, that's exciting.
So
that's very exciting.
In addition to other odds and ends, I'd say those are kind of the main accomplishments I have had.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So far.
Yeah.
That happened, so the Master Sword bit, again, I won't spoil how you get it or what happens there. I was absolutely not expecting to get it at that moment. I was not expecting it to be available to me until far deeper into the game.
That's good that they gave it to you earlier on, because that's dumb if you get to the very end of the game and you can only use it for like a little bit. That would kind of suck, you know?
And like the way that you get it, like the kind of the story elements that go to it were like truly surprising and very impactful and really well done. So
Yeah.
I think when we go back to, end of the year, like top moments of the year, like that'll probably be very high.
I have a very
on
good
my
idea
list.
what is going to happen with that because
you got spoiled?
No, I did not get
Oh.
spoiled. I've been watching these glyph memories and I'm like, I get it. I see where you're going with this.
Okay.
I'm excited though.
Then why do it if you already know?
No, I'm just excited. I think the story is great so far, and it's cool the way that they're showing it to you through those glyph memories. But yeah, I think I have a very good idea of what may transpire with the Master Sword.
Quick comment about those memories. This is not a spoiler at all. I don't like that Princess Zelda says "okay" so much. There's a lot of times in Dark where she'll be speaking in her like old-timey like British, royal accent. Like, okay. It's like this does not fit the character or the time period or whatever. Okay, yo. Come on, who wrote this?
Okie dokie. That's so cute. Yeah. The expressions that she has in her face is the best. Like she's so expressive.
Yeah,
in these cutscenes. Yeah, it's so good.
All the tears, like that's very like story spoiler heavy, so I don't want to talk about that too much. But those were very fun to find. And
super fun
and fun to do. This quest you did about with the what was it? What was the name of it? The one with the musicians?
Yeah, so it's really interesting how you start that quest. You sort of start it with the the Lucky Clover Gazette.
Right.
So it's a quest line that sort of splits. So you start with the Lucky Clover Gazette, and then eventually you run into these musicians at the stable that you need to wake the fairies up because they're like in their bulbs or whatever.
Right.
And so then the quest sort of splits into two. But yeah, it's worth it to do. The quest is actually really, really good, like I was saying. But also, you want to upgrade your armor because Link is quite squishy throughout this game. So it's really helpful to get those fairies awakened. And it's very cheap to upgrade your armor. There's 4 fairies. So there's, musicians that you need to help out. And they each have sort of their own little storyline and what's going on with them. And then when you reunite them, it's like literally magic. So do it because it's totally worth it to upgrade their armor, but also the quest is really fun.
So I started doing this the other day only because I had been to the fairy bulb thing and it was saying like, oh, I want to hear this music. I didn't know what to do. So I did have to look this up.
Oh, okay.
And it was multiple things that I had just missed. I had not been to that stable at all where they had the musicians. And I had talked to somebody about the newspaper, but I think again, there's too much talking at times and I blow through it. So I had missed where they said like, oh, the newspaper is set up at this place.
Yeah.
So 2 things that I missed. So now I'm doing it. I've activated the first bulb, which is very easy. You just cart the person over.
Yeah.
And I'm on the second one.
Yeah.
And then I found the guy in the tree who said, bring me the fireflies. And it was getting late, so I turned it off. But I was like,
The guy, that was my favorite one out of all the musicians.
My feeling is like, it's a pretty like important upgrade for Link that is like a bit obfuscated, It's like, I kind of feel like maybe they should have made this a bit more easy for people to do.
That quest is so good.
Because I feel like a lot of people like might miss it.
Well, that's your problem.
Or they may not go to the trouble to do it. Like, 'cause it's a lot of effort to unlock the 4 fairy fountains. Versus in the last game, you just like, you find them. And you can just do it.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, like the little song that they play to wake the fairies.
I just want the higher armor.
That's a good song. That little song, it's been in my head for like days now. That they play to like wake up the fairy, and then they all like end up at the stable, and they're playing the Lone Ranch theme. Oh my god, it's so good. Just do it, people. It's not that hard.
I think they could have found a bit more of a middle path with that, where it's like you do some of it and they get unlocked, and then you can keep doing it if you want to hear the music and cry and sob like
uncontrollably, like me.
Horse girl sobbing at the stable with the violin.
Oh, it's what happened. It's so good. I I can see how it can feel convoluted for some people that are not like super into it, because it is quite important for you to do this upgrade.
It's a very involved process.
It's an involved
to do this.
process, yeah.
And
But
like you're saying,
anyway.
like you can't. I'm still getting one shot at times. So it's like I need to do this.
Yeah. I upgraded pretty much every piece of armor that I had, so I'm like, I'm very happy
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Link is a lot better now, so that's good.
Right.
Yeah, this is why you can fight a Clea, because you're not getting one-shotted. Gosh, because you can upgrade your armor. But yes, very important quest.
Let's talk about the duplication glitch, because that seems to have been a hot button issue.
Oh my god, the devs are so mad.
So we don't have this in the news, but yeah, they basically patched it out. What day was that? It was like kind of midweek.
Yeah, it was. We were joking around with like, any day now, you better dupe as much
know.
as you can. And literally it happened, and you texted me so fast, and I was like,
I basically saw like the tweet, and I just like texted you immediately.
thank God, thank
Like,
God.
oh, no.
This is a real friend, people.
Oh no. But you were a little bit late to come onto that, because you were thinking like, oh, this is going to be too hard to do, which is actually what I thought too, until I actually saw a video explaining it.
Yeah, and then you sent me the video of like how easy it is.
I mean, there's a lot of different variations on it.
Yeah, the easiest one is the one that you sent me. The other variations were like it was like step 1, step 16. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I guess there still are now post-patch these dupe glitches, but it's
not worth it.
It's too much trouble. Like,
Yeah.
this is the only way that I would actually do it.
I think so too. Like, you guys know that we are not above cheesing anything.
Yeah.
Like, when we played Elden Ring, we cheesed like crazy to
Right.
get through that game. Like, I definitely took advantage of every glitch available to me. Hey, look, if it's in the game, it's in the game.
Yeah, and it's not like we're playing like Splatoon or something. It's not like we're like,
No, it's like a single player game.
our benefit is at the expense of
someone
poor
else's.
person
Yeah, exactly.
on the other
I'm
end.
like, I'm glitching to
Right, it's like I'm
wreck your link
I'm
or something.
curating my own experience.
Exactly.
Here.
Of course, the devs are like, we want you to have fun, but in the way that
Our
we
way.
want. Our way. You can only have fun this one way, okay?
Right.
But yeah, I'm not above it. The other thing that I will say as a way to make myself feel better, and this may or may not be true for you, but I just think that whole process of upgrading your batteries is too much.
It's bad. I'll say it's flat out bad.
I think it's flat out bad, and it's flat out like obvious that the way that the reason they did it is to extend your gameplay, but in like the laziest way possible, to make you grind.
Oh no, lazy devs.
Lazy.
Oh no.
So lazy. How dare you? 6 years? Come on. I'm just kidding.
Make it 8.
I'm so kidding. Oh my
Make
god,
it
they're
8.
not lazy. But that particular gameplay loop, I feel like is a little. I have a bit of a problem with it, because it's like, okay, you need 100 crystals
Yeah.
for 1 pip of that battery.
Right.
That's so much. And you can't find those mines. You gotta grind for the zonite, and then you gotta trade it in for the crystals, and then wait for the crystals
And they have
to
limited
replenish.
stock.
Yeah, wait for them to replenish. You have to, if you don't have all the mines unlocked, which I did not for a long time, you basically are like waiting around for them to replenish
Right.
their stock. So I just don't think that's fair to the player. So guess what? I'm
Yeah.
gonna exploit this glitch and upgrade these batteries, because, I mean, if you want me to build these machines, I'm gonna need to do this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that glitch is not something I would ordinarily pay a lot of attention to, because I feel like most of the stuff in the game I'm getting in the quantity I am needing, where I don't feel like,
it's
oh my
fine.
gosh, I'm so limited on X, like all the time, it's really impeding what I'm doing. But in that case, I was like, I'm not filling out these batteries the way you want. And
You're going to be playing. Who has the time to
Right.
grind for hours and hours and hours for this?
Right.
That's like not fair.
But again, like I do want to like really test out all of the builds that you can do, and you do sort of need that.
And like the whole point of this game, and they like touted this for like the whole lead up to the game, was like, we want you to build these things.
Right.
So like, why would you make it so difficult for me to like actually have fun building these
Right.
things?
So I think that I agree with you that that's a part of the game that they sort of fumbled.
Yeah.
Of like
I just don't get it.
Unless you're like hardcore, just sitting down for a night and grinding this stuff out.
You need more
like,
than a night.
That's not a good. It's not a good use of time.
It's not a good use of time, and it's not a fun experience either.
Right.
Like if it was like a fun quest, even that quest is convoluted.
Yeah.
At least it's a fun quest
you're
that
doing
has like a
something.
payoff.
Right.
But just like going
You're
down in the
literally just like
dark
doing fetch quests
to
back
doing
and forth.
and then like mining
Sleeping
stuff.
in the bed, going back, buying it, sleeping in the bed, duping.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
That is like a really terrible gameplay loop. So
Yeah.
duping is what we're doing.
Have you been duping anything else?
I dupe some diamonds.
I did too.
won't
I
lie.
did too. And then I realized like I don't really need these.
I don't really need
so I
these.
actually haven't done anything with them.
Yeah, I really didn't need it. I was like, should I like? I sold it, bought some armor, but I don't really. Yeah, I'm not lacking for rupees. Even without selling the gems that or selling stuff that I've found or whatever. So I really just am duping Zonite.
Yeah. So I think I'll do maybe like one more night of duping the regular Zonite, because that's what I need to make this glider or this
Yeah,
bike
you
thing.
do need it to like auto build.
But after that, I'll turn it off because I can't scan amiibo.
I know
which is the big
you're
drawback.
limited by your amiibo.
My nightly amiibo scanning has been curtailed.
Yes.
by
I think
this.
I will do the same once I fill up all the blue batteries and I have everything done, which I think I can do it tonight. I will update my game. So
This bike, though, I recommend it for everybody. So
bike is interesting.
This is a 3-piece build with stuff that's very easy to get. So it's 2 fans and a control stick.
Yeah.
And the fans are on the front and the back of the control stick, and they're kind of at these kind of specific angles.
Is very important.
There's like a million guides. This has been basically like everybody agrees like this is the mobility build to make, but yeah, you do need to get the angle. If the angle's off, like
You'll be very unbalanced.
It'll lean to a side, but it's not that hard.
Yeah, but just look at the picture so you get the angle.
Yeah, so
or
then
else it's like a little bit unbalanced.
Yeah, you save it in auto build, and it costs 9 Zonite, or you might just have the stuff.
And it's
arranged.
very good because it has like a long battery life.
Pretty good battery life.
Yeah.
It can go up. It can go forwards pretty quickly. So it's
a hover bike kind
it's
of.
very you can glue Koroks to it and not tip over. It's very versatile. So I recommend
Glue
that.
the bright bloom seed to it.
Yeah, underground.
And underground.
Yeah,
And
it's
use
great
it
for
to
getting around underground.
Get around the depths, which is really, really good. I do prefer my monster truck to get around the depths, but that's just me.
Okay.
I really like the big wheel.
Yeah.
That's fun. It's really fun.
Is, yeah.
And then you can go in the lava and stuff like that too. It's really neat.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so that is happening, and hopefully soon we will become non-dupers. But for now, imagine if we were still at Nintendo. Oh man, they would be so upset if people were doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I understand like strictly from the developer standpoint, like this is a flaw in the game.
It's a flaw, yeah.
So they do feel some like, as the developer, we need to give the player a flaw-free game.
Yeah.
So, they want to get that fixed as fast as possible.
Because like there's some games like I think a lot about Elden Ring when I was thinking about the dupe glitch or any glitch or any sort of thing that pops up on the internet that's like, you're doing something, you're cheesing the game in some way. And there's a game like Elden Ring which is almost encouraged for you to find these little exploits or find these interesting little quirks as the player, but Nintendo is so specific in the way that they want you to experience a game, and they take it so seriously. It's like this reminds me a little bit of like Animal Crossing time travel and things like that.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like this huge it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I imagine just internally they're just like literally freaking out because they absolutely
it's probably one of those things
this.
where like you could not admit to somebody else at the company that you were doing it
No.
for fear of being shamed.
When we were playing Animal Crossing, we were using our personal games a lot for Nintendo Minute videos, and we were so freaked out of any sort of time travel because we were afraid that they were gonna know.
They would know somehow
from our video
they would
that
see
it was
something in the
time
footage.
travel. So we would ask other people to time travel for us
To give us stuff?
stuff because we were so freaked out. So I think like it would be the same case here. Like if we were doing Tears of the Kingdom videos on Nintendo Minute, we would be so freaked out.
Hey, producer Stephanie, take my Switch and go dupe for 2 hours.
No, she can't do it. Even on your game, you wouldn't be able to do it. They would know. Like, why does Kid have 300 large Zonite? I wonder. So that would have been like a absolute no-go for us. I think we'd be so scared to do it. So now, like, it's like, I'm free. I could do what I want. I cannot update my game.
I want to talk about these dungeons. Let's talk about dungeons. So we've each done 2. We've now seen collectively 3 of the 4.
Yes.
General impression of dungeons overall in this game.
Well, they're not dungeons. is the conclusion, is the fact. The first one I did, I was like, okay. They wanted
You did the wind first.
Wind temple.
I did as well.
And I was like, this is doesn't really quite feel like a traditional Zelda dungeon, really. It felt more akin to a divine beast. I do think that the getting to the dungeon part of it was super fun and more involved than a divine beast.
Yeah.
So maybe they kind of count that experience getting to the temple and then the temple itself as like one quote unquote dungeon experience. But even then, it is not a traditional Zelda dungeon.
No.
So I did the Wind Temple and I was like, maybe this is the first one.
See another one.
Maybe that they wanted you to do this first,
Yeah.
like dip your toe in the dungeon pool just to make sure you're not feeling overwhelmed, because sometimes those Zelda dungeons are pretty hard. So I was like, okay, next one. Let me just do another one and see if this like kind of ratchets up into more of a traditional dungeon. It does not. So unless 3 and 4 become
let me tell you, number 3, same story.
Okay, so there you go. So unless
Maybe there's a big one at the end we haven't seen yet. I don't know.
Maybe there's a big dungeon before you fight
the Ganon dungeon.
When you get into the castle.
Yeah.
I don't know, no clue. But these regional phenomenon, as it is called in the game, is certainly not.
Yeah. I was apprehensive of these dungeons because of what was in the Ask the Developer, where they were basically saying, like, yeah, traditional dungeons are back. So I actually went back and I included this in our little notes here.
Yeah, I'm reading this
I wanted to
quote unquote.
I wanted to look closely at the wording. So there's 3 lines about this, one from Fujibayashi, one from Mr. Doda, who's the technical lead, and then one from Mr. Takizawa, who's the art lead.
Yes.
And every statement kind of escalates, which is interesting because Fujibayashi is the director. He's the one who should make the most definitive statement.
Yeah.
Mr. Takizawa, I don't think is in a position to make these definitive statements. But it was his line that was in the tweet that went out that got everybody in a tizzy.
That's right. They got everyone frothy with excitement.
So first of all, Mr. Fujibayashi says, we haven't talked about dungeons. They've changed from the previous game. For example, there's a dungeon that connects directly from Hyrule's surface. If you dive from the sky straight into the dungeon, you will trigger an event. We think this will be a new experience that wasn't possible in the previous game. Okay. That's fair.
That's fair. That would be... I still wouldn't call it a dungeon, but is that
the fire one?
I triggered it a different way, but maybe I wouldn't call... You could do it that way.
But this is not him saying, yes, classic dungeons are back.
Well... He does say straight into a dungeon. There is a dungeon that connects you directly.
The experience of getting to the dungeon is, we have come up with a fun new way for you to get to the dungeon.
But calling a dungeon is already
what he's saying.
A little stretch here.
Doda says, we made them unique to their respective environments, so we think you'll be able to enjoy the wide variety of regional characteristics.
I would say that this is true. This is very true.
Accurate.
Yeah. Again, calling it a dungeon is a little bit of a stretch, but the actual regional characteristics, 100% true.
Now, let's look at what Mr. Takizawa said. The 4 divine beasts were the dungeons in the last game, and they shared similar designs. This time, the dungeons are huge and each carry their own regional look and feel, just like traditional The Legend of Zelda games. We think they will provide a satisfying challenge for players.
They were certainly a challenge to develop. Laughs.
So the point
I'm going to be laughing now.
So the point about the look of Divine Beast being similar, that's fair.
Sure.
But I think everything else of that statement is
false.
They should not have said that.
That's not true
And I don't think they should have made that thing of the tweet that they put out. For the world to see, to get everybody, before the game even came out, and get everybody in a tizzy.
In the day before.
Oh my God. It's not even something Fujibayashi or Aonuma or one of the head guys said.
This is where
he's the art lead.
Instead of like laughs, is a Fujibayashi slapped me. No, just kidding. But that statement is like 90% a lie. So this time these dungeons are huge and each carry their own. Okay, the dungeons are not huge.
They're very small.
They are tiny. They do carry their regional look and feel.
Right.
So
That's true.
Lava and it's wind and it's water. Great. Just like traditional The Legend of Zelda games, false. We think they will provide a satisfying challenge, false. Because the first 2 dungeons that we've done, the mechanic is exactly the same.
You're just doing the one mechanic like a number of times.
The same number of times.
Right. Yeah.
In the same size of dungeon.
Yes.
Not even dungeon. Like the same size of area.
Right.
I'm not calling it dungeon because it's not.
So the whole handling of communicating dungeons for this game was not handled
weird.
super well.
it also goes back to what we were talking about before this game came out, which is, like, I think everybody, the Zelda fans and the developers, clearly, have a very different definition of what a Zelda dungeon is.
Well, I was going to ask you that very question of what is a Zelda dungeon to you, somebody who appreciates, like fine wine, a classic Zelda dungeon.
Yeah, I would say, like, a Zelda dungeon needs to have, like, the following characteristics.
Oh.
It needs to have multiple layers of puzzles.
Like levels.
Levels.
Okay.
Yeah, where they are all connected to each other, and they have to be different. Like, they can't just be like, do the same mechanic five times, which is what these dungeons are.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it, but it needs to have, like, a level of intricacy where you're, like, figuring it out. Like, okay, if I move this thing here, it unlocks a door there, and I need to, like, do other things. There's an ability to backtrack through the dungeon. There has to be, like, almost like a feeling like I'm going to be lost and confused in here.
Yeah.
And I need to, like, really use my wits to, like, get through it. The other sort of bigger characteristic is, I think it needs to feel like it has sort of like a, I don't know how to describe it, like almost like a sense of, like, depth or just, like, bigness to it. When you're inside of a dungeon, I think you're expecting to be able to be in there and work on it for, like, a long time, multiple days sometimes, depending on how you're not going to look up the solution. But these feel really small to me. Yeah. So there's not a sense of, like, vastness or bigness.
Well, I think also, like, there is a slight bit of, like, Metroidvania in those dungeons.
Yeah,
where
you need to retro.
Either you get a key which unlocks new stuff, or you would traditionally get an item that would unlock some new ability that you needed to get further.
Right.
So, I mean, in terms of,
like, being able to be confused in a dungeon and, like, find a map.
Yeah.
Like, that gameplay mechanic makes it feel, like, big, but in terms significant.
In terms of traversal in this game, it's like you can go, again, as is true to the game, do it however you want. Do those 5 things in whatever order you want. And there is no unique item. So, you're just using what is at your disposal.
Yeah, already in your disposal.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that surprised me the most was, like, I like knocked these out in, like, a half hour.
That's the thing.
Once I got there. And again, if you count the traversal there, like, that's fine. I really like the traversal of getting there.
Me too.
For both of the ones I did, it was, like, some very in-depth, like, almost platforming through the Sky Islands to get to the dungeon itself, which was fun.
Then the fire one is actually really different. The way that you traverse to the fire temple is super different than what I did in the Wind Temple, so I really appreciated that, and that's great.
So again, don't get me wrong, like, I got anxiety in traditional Zelda dungeons because I would be too dumb to do it. I did not mind this, but I realize I am really in the minority with that statement.
The other last thing I'll say that is very significant for a dungeon is that last boss you fight needs to be a hard boss fight where you're using the item that you probably would have gotten, or some sort of skill that you've learned from doing the dungeon. You kind of get that there a little bit, but the bosses are so easy. So easy. I can't believe it. Like, it's not fun because it's not a challenge.
So you do get something unique in each dungeon.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel as impactful as getting, like,
the grapple hook.
I got the hook shot, and now I'm using that to solve this thing.
Yeah.
And those do become valuable skills that you use later on.
Yeah.
But somehow they just did not. It's not a one-to-one.
Yeah, and then the skills that you get after you complete the dungeon is sort of like, use it if you want to, but it's not going to impede your game progress if you don't use it. You can turn it off.
Right.
Whereas you cannot continue through a traditional Zelda game without the skill that you learned from that dungeon.
Right.
So that part of it just feels a little bit like, well, then what's the point of this, you know? Mm-hmm. Sure, there's the story element to it, of course, and the characters are still great. I still love partnering up with each of the characters from the regions, and all that stuff is really fun. But yeah, the boss fights, I was a little disappointed, honestly. I was like, this is too easy. Maybe I've been playing too much Elden Ring or something. But I'm like, in the bosses that are, like, in the world, like a Gleeok is way harder than a dungeon boss, which is kind of like, a letdown because you went through the dungeon and you did all the things and like it was a really easy boss. I can just defeat it without even taking damage in like 2 minutes.
The boss in the water dungeon was just downright bizarre. Like it was not at all what I was expecting as the boss.
Okay.
It was fine. Like it was a pretty entertaining battle, but in terms of like what it was a bit underwhelming.
What they all are right now are pretty underwhelming.
Yeah.
When temple boss, okay, that's fine. It's like kind of predictable.
Hit the vulnerable spot. Very obvious.
Very obvious and really easy too.
Yeah.
And then like the fire one too is like I know exactly what to do.
Uh-huh.
I wish I didn't know exactly what to do. I wish I had like a moment of like trying to learn the boss. Like, oh my gosh, what is he gonna do to me? You know, oh, what skill do I need to use to defeat it? Like I'm not doing any damage. Like what do I need to do? Like there's none of that like problem solving element that you traditionally get when you finish a dungeon and you're like learned all these things. You're like, I know what to okay. This is the weak spot. This is what I need to do with my new skills to like get to. Like I don't feel that satisfaction.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really interested into why they made those lofty statements because they're actually untrue. So
Yeah, it's really baffling. And then again, to make that kind of the very front and center messages that they make about this before the game is even out makes no sense. But let's go. So we talked about that Washington Post interview that Mr. Aonuma did, where he talked about how Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are kind of the blueprint for the series going forward. We talked about that last week, what that means. At that point, we'd only done one dungeon, so I don't think we felt super like comfortable like making more definitive statements. But like now that we've done more, I do think it's fair to say, like, as is the title of this podcast, like I think we're past the era of those dungeons, and it's going to be more like this.
I think so. I think those traditional dungeons that a lot of Zelda fans really grew up loving, and a lot of the reasons why people love the Zelda series are because of the way that those dungeons were. I don't think they're ever coming back. And maybe they'll innovate on what these dungeons are in the future to make them feel more significant or make them feel unique and interesting or add something different that we haven't expected yet to give you that sense of satisfaction and accomplishment that you used to get in a traditional Zelda game. But those, I think you're right. I think those dungeons that some of us know and love, I think they're gone forever.
So there has to be a reason, because the feedback of fans wanting, of that being like one of the very few significant critiques from Breath of the Wild, that definitely got back to the team.
Yeah, especially if they're making statements like this.
Right, but I went back to, when Mr. Aonuma originally said he was breaking the conventions of the Zelda series, and that was actually about 10 years ago, was that Nintendo Direct where they were talking about Breath of the Wild. And that's around the time that they started to take baby steps in that with A Link Between Worlds. Mm-hmm. And it's important to recognize that, like, at that time, the Zelda series was kind of... I wouldn't say it was on shaky ground, but it was not, like, the most in the most healthy place.
Yeah, it wasn't growing.
It felt stagnant.
It was very stagnant, yeah.
Where... the sales felt like they kind of had a cap on them. It still had it was this great prestige series that, brought Nintendo a lot of clout and that people would talk about, but it seemed to just be the same people playing it again and again.
Right.
And, as happens, like that group was getting older and there were new generations of people coming up who were just not playing the series. And in a lot of cases didn't even know about the series or care about it.
Right, yeah. It's shocking whenever we do any sort of research around who knew who Link was.
Yeah.
And a lot of the newer players, younger players, did not know who Link was at all. It was so low in the character recognizability charts. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they would also get asked, about gameplay stuff, and they'd be like, it's fine, but it's not what I would really opt to play. So, I think from their perspective, they've had this crazy breakthrough with these two games. Breath of the Wild sold 30 million copies. Tears of the Kingdom certainly has the potential to sell, that much if they, depending on how much life they can continue to breathe into it hardware-wise. if you're Aonuma, it's like, and these games both got like 90, 97, 95 Metacritics. It's like, what actually is the problem here?
I know, exactly. And there's so much like great stuff in in Tears of the Kingdom that really outweigh these kinds of critiques.
Because if I'm him,
it wouldn't really matter.
If honestly. I'm him, I would have that nagging thought in my mind of like, is this one of those things that was holding this series back? That now that we have made it more approachable, engaging, obviously this clicks for a broader audience than the old formula did. Mm-hmm. Like, am I somehow going back to limiting this franchise that I'm in charge of personally?
Yeah.
By taking that
have given a personal made a personal goal to break the conventions of, right? Yeah. So, I can see that is a lot of questions you ask yourself as you go through what the future of the franchise looks like. But it's just, I'm not saying, like, of course I will miss traditional Zelda dungeons, but I still love Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild and the other things that the game has to offer. So I think it's just going to be interesting to see where they take it, The evolution might continue. So you never know, like, what that next game looks like, where they decide to put their creativity into, So there's full trust there that that's going to be great. But it's just I think that the interesting part of it is why they took such a front and center approach to confirming a traditional Zelda dungeon when there certainly was none. So that was just a strange thing to do. Yeah. Like, why? Totally good. You're breaking the convention. You're going a different direction. Awesome. Stick to those guns. Stick to that if that's what you're doing. But don't say that there are dungeons when there isn't. Like, that's just weird.
So I'll say I do think that, and we've said this a lot, like, I do think there will continue to be 2D Zelda games that cater more towards old school Zelda fans. I think those will still have the quote traditional dungeons. Because again, those may still be remakes of old games.
Yeah.
So in that case, that's what you're getting. Right. But even if they make a new one, I think it will still have more of that feel. But in terms of these 3D games with this being stated as the blueprint, and they may continue to try to recapture some of that, but it's not going to go all the way back.
Yeah. I think they shouldn't make these statements. They should just stick to what they're doing. Like, what they're doing, if they really believe in this being the right step for the right future for the Zelda series, then say it and stick to it. Don't like waffle back and forth because you're scared the Zelda fans are gonna like riot because there's no dungeons or whatever, but like stick to it.
Lazy devs strike again.
This is why we're duping.
It's payback.
Let me tell you how many Zonites I have. Every time you say dungeon, I'm gonna dupe some more Zonite.
Duping for dungeons. Here we go.
All right, we gotta move on to another game. Yes. Street Fighter 6.
So Capcom did send us codes for Street Fighter 6. Thank you, Capcom.
We have been playing Street Fighter 6.
We got them like 2 days after Zelda came out, so it was at times a struggle to pull ourselves away. But we have been playing Street Fighter 6. Yes. Yeah. This was very high on our list, so it's been exciting to play that in addition to Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I've been doing a little double dip here.
Yeah.
It's great because now that I'm like sort of like deeper into Zelda, I feel like it's okay to like
take a short break.
Do something else. And this game is perfect because it does lend itself to sort of like more
completely different,
but also more like one-off gameplay
quicker sessions.
Yeah, exactly. So you and I have been both playing. I've been playing the World Tour mode pretty exclusively.
Okay.
Since again I'm bad at these games, so yeah, we went to a preview event where we got to see quite a bit of World Tour mode. So I've been doing a lot, like sort of poking around. I made my character. It's not an abomination.
What is it?
It's just,
what kind of freaking nature is this?
It's not. It's a normal girl.
Okay, but is it based on anything, or is it you?
No, it's not me.
Oh.
I like cool hair colors. So I gave her a very cool like rainbow hairdo.
Well, what's her name?
Chris.
So it is you.
No, it's not. It's not me.
Is it short?
It's always Chris.
Is this person short?
I mean, it's normal.
Did you take the slider and go all the way to the bottom?
I kind of did, actually.
So it's you.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Did you make an abomination this time?
No, so I told you what I was going to do.
Oh, that's right. You made, okay.
So the game is set in Metro City, which is where Final Fight is from. So I made Cody from Final Fight.
That's cool.
It's a pretty generic, like, white guy with blonde hair.
So's you.
But I don't have blonde hair.
Have blonde hair.
I will say that character creator is extremely
so
deep to the point where, like, there's so many knobs and things to fiddle with. Like, it's like, I'm just trying to make, like, a normal, like, kind of generic looking face. Like, and even that was, like, kind of hard to get.
Yeah. It is, like, you can spend a long time in the character creation.
Right. So I kind of didn't, like, sweat it too much because you can change it later. So I was like, I just want to get going. And if it's bugging me, I can change it later.
Yeah.
But I'm like 85% of the way there.
That's good.
I'm 85% happy with it. So I may just keep it.
Yeah. I like it. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You get a lot of Final Fight references when you're in the city, which is awesome. I've been just playing through like the main sort of world tour stuff.
Yeah.
I got past where we stopped at the preview event, so I'm like, oh, I can finally see what happens next, which is fun. But I continue to be very impressed by the world tour mode because it is a really fun single player mode. And like, it's cool that it has more of like an RPG feel to it. So, I really like that.
I've played a couple hours of it. I don't think I would say that it surpasses the Mortal Kombat single player modes in my mind, but it is a very different thing. Where it is like more RPG-ish in an open world. Something I didn't realize, and I don't know if you've gotten this far yet, is there are other locations that you go to.
Right.
Beyond Metro City. The other one that I have gone to though was not a big, it was kind of an enclosed space where you have a specific encounter with another Street Fighter character.
Oh, cool.
So, and once you get to that point, there's another menu that opens up with all these locations. And I'm curious, are these going to be bigger locations, like a combination? Like what, I don't know what their intention is with those. So I guess I'll find out.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I did notice that map was opening up a little bit more as I was playing. So, I haven't gone to another location yet. I'm still in Metro City, but I'm curious to see like what else this mode entails.
One other thing that the reviews hit, and one other thing I've been seeing in the reviews about this mode, which people have been commenting on who probably played more than I have, is once you get a little bit deeper into it, some of the encounters, like the boss encounters, can get pretty hard.
Oh, good. Okay.
Where they basically just have like a really long life bar.
So you have to like tick away at it, basically.
Right. So I don't know if that implies like that you need to grind more because you can level up and get stronger that way. Because
or like you can learn more moves.
You can get more moves
from the other Street Fighter characters.
I did have a fight, like a boss fight like that, where I initially was like, oh, I'm not supposed to win this because I was doing so little. But then it was like, no, you actually do need to win this fight.
Okay.
And I did, but it was like a very long fight.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's a great addition. I mean, this game just has a lot of stuff in it that all seems like really high quality. So that's great. Yeah. I have also gone into just kind of the main modes because I got to get my E-Honda back up to speed.
That's right. You got to get it like back to online fighting shape.
Yeah. So one thing I will give a plug to is like they do have these like character specific guides.
Yeah, the guides are really good.
Which are really nice, and they'll give you like a dozen. Like, again, very specific to the character. And they have different guides per character. Like tips on, what to do in certain situations or when certain moves are more or less useful or things you might not know about those characters. So I've always been, mostly an E-Honda main, and I learned a lot of new stuff there. So I think even if you're, starting out or if you're more experienced, I think those are really worth a look once you know what character you want to check out.
And you still have the other button or the other like control schemes.
Oh, the more easy ones.
Yeah, you have.
Is that what what were they called? Modern?
I'm doing modern controls.
And say again how those work?
So modern controls, it's like you still have to do some button combinations, but they've like made those a little bit more accessible.
Yeah.
So there is another one that's like casual, I believe, and that one is just like you hit a button.
Super simplified.
You do like all the combos, and it looks really cool.
Right.
So if you want to just look really cool for a little bit, you can totally use that too.
Okay.
But modern is like instead of like 8 buttons that you have to press, you press like 3.
Yeah.
And there's some specials that you can do with like less button combos.
Right.
Which just makes it a little bit more accessible for you. I think it's a good stepping stone though. So like, let's say you master that,
totally.
and then you can like try looking at those guides or doing some of those tutorials to get like the more, you know, classic controls down.
Between that and the different handicaps, you probably could match up like very experienced and very novice players.
I think I'm curious about how that's going to look, how
Yeah.
that's going to work, but hopefully that's the case, because I think that's the really intimidating part about it, is that you feel like you can't hang with anybody else if you're not like an expert, but I feel like this game gives you a lot of ways to play with other, like people of all skill levels. So that's really cool.
Was there any character, you said you haven't really done much outside of World Tour, but we are eventually going to have some online fights.
Oh yeah.
Is there any characters that you are interested in?
I do like that ballerina character. What's her name? Manon?
Manon?
Yeah.
Manon? I don't know. She's French.
Manon?
I don't know how exactly you say it.
She's a new character, I think, that they've added, and I kind of like her. So I'm going to try to just learn more about that character.
I like her too. Wink.
Oh, hey.
This game is
Bodhi
like
contender.
almost a lock for Bodhi.
Yeah, body.
Everybody in this game is just too good looking.
Too good looking.
It's distracting.
Yeah, it is very distracting.
Come on, Capcom.
You know who I also really like in this game? Blanca.
Yeah.
Blanca with his little booty shake is very, very cute. And like really fun. He like bites you, you know, and the electricity is great.
Move.
Classic. Yeah. So I do like a good Blanca.
Yeah. I did check out the arcade mode, which is sort of like the story mode for each character.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I did that.
That one's fun too.
I did that for E Honda. Like that is a very like quick and breezy. You can choose how long it is, but the default I think was just 5 stages.
Oh, nice. That's
and
easy.
for me, one of the stages was just like break the truck. You know,
you
those
have
kind
to
of like
break the truck.
mid-round break the car things. But all this, like the story stuff was fun. It was, you know, it had really nice visuals with it. Once you do that, you unlock like other like pieces of art and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, this game is beautiful.
Yeah,
like, it looks so great.
Like in this day and age, like arcade mode like doesn't have a ton of value. So I think it's fine for what it is.
Yeah,
and it's fun if you like those characters and you want to see their little
backstory. Yeah, some of the new characters, I'm like, what? Who are you?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so you can see like their origin story a bit. Yeah.
Another feature they have, which I checked out and immediately turned off because I didn't like it.
What is
they have this kind of like real time like esports commentary thing where again we're not super like plugged into this, but I think these people are pretty well known who did the commentary.
Oh.
And they will comment on your match as it happens, but I just didn't like it.
That seems like it'd be intimidating.
I mean, if you want to like really like
Your turn.
emulate being in like an esports environment, like that could be fun. But
maybe if you're like training for like Evo or something.
It just didn't. It didn't strike me as being super. It seemed a little too generic what they were saying. Versus,
I guess they have to because it would have to work for like whatever someone's doing.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing this thing.
But honestly, even if it was super specific, I'd still probably turn it off.
Yeah,
it's just not my thing.
It seems like it would be very intimidating.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, and I hadn't really grasped this until we got the full game, but there is this whole other gauge in the game.
That's right. Yeah.
That now that I've gone through all these proper tutorials, I have a much better grasp on what it is. And it's really useful, and I think is a big differentiator between this and other Street Fighter games. So you can use it in a lot of different ways, but the main way I've been using it is just basically like an alternate, more powered up version of your special attacks.
Right.
And the way you do it is like, so let's say you're doing like a Hadoken, like you do that, you do the motion, you press 1 punch button. For the alternate version, you do the motion, you press any combination of 2 punch buttons, and you kind of like your guy will like light up and flash, and he'll do something different. Mm-hmm. So, but it's more powerful, and it often has some other sort of characteristic. So the E Honda like sumo torpedo thing.
Yeah.
The special version of that is it can go through projectiles.
Oh, cool.
Because that had always been the counter to that. If somebody was just spamming that, it's like, well, I'm going to fireball you, and you're going to stop doing that.
Right.
So your gauge will decrease, and if you get to 0, you're in a weakened state for a little bit, so you can't like abuse it.
Right.
And it also chips away like if you're blocking, and if you attack, it'll slowly fill up. So managing that bar is a really important
That's interesting. Yeah.
mechanic.
It's interesting how they like sort of try to balance it out so that it's not
Right.
gonna allow you to like spam stuff or be overpowered or something like that.
Yeah, and there's also like a lot of other more advanced stuff using that honestly I'm not completely clued in on yet, that I need to spend a bit more time figuring out. The good thing is that, you know, a bunch of the matches that I played before I had done those tutorials and I really wasn't using it went fine. So I wouldn't say, like, if you haven't mastered this new mechanic, you're just going to be toast. But it adds a lot of depth to the game that I noticed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's crazy how they can take such classic gameplay and still add things that doesn't make it feel like it is out of place.
That's the thing. Yeah.
It's kind of impressive, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of fighting games that just have so much depth and you have to use all that depth, and if you're not, you cannot
play this game.
succeed.
Yeah.
Like somehow like they have found a way to make it like truly
the range of it is
truly
so
accessible
good.
no matter how many hours you want
really
to
interesting.
put into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I'm going to be playing this game for a long time.
For sure.
No, I kind of had a moment of hope over the weekend, because originally I was very pessimistic. Like, man, you got Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Tekken all coming out this year. I'm not going to play all of those.
And now you're like, I'm going to play all of them?
Well, this is coming out now. Mortal Kombat's coming out in, I think, September.
Yeah.
And then Tekken, they haven't announced a date. So it must,
maybe it's getting delayed.
Maybe they're all spread out enough.
Mortal Kombat, I'm definitely going to play. Mortal Kombat's fun.
I'm going to get that too. I was worried that Tekken might be the odd one out, but now I'm like,
I'm not a huge Tekken fan, honestly. So
maybe
that one I wasn't really even concerned about. So I know maybe I'll get on board. This is where someone is crying in the corner that we know.
You could play as like a bear, just a giant bear.
I do like that. French ballerina and a bear, perfect.
Now,
question mark.
there's another game which also had reviews come out for it the same day as Street Fighter, Diablo 4.
I had a moment of panic.
We're not playing this game yet because it's not out yet, but I just wanted to ask, what is your headspace on Diablo 4 right now?
I think we should play it. When is it coming out again? When is the launch date? I lost track.
It's like early June, very early June.
Uh-oh.
I think it's like maybe a week after. So like I think it's like next week.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And then at the end of the month is Final Fantasy.
Oh no.
So
what are you gonna do?
I think Diablo is the one.
Might need to take a backseat to
So
Final
I said
Fantasy.
I'm going on a vacation. I'm going out of the country in like basically the second half of June.
Yeah.
So like I need to be realistic about what I can actually play. Like,
well, you have a Steam Deck.
I don't know if I'm gonna do like remote play. Like that's just a lot to like.
Can't you play Diablo 4 on your Steam Deck? PC version?
Maybe, but it's like, it's a good chance to just knock out some Zelda stuff. I don't know.
Oh, you want to beat Zelda?
I mean,
But 3 weeks of Zelda's a long time.
I could get really deep into Zelda, but basically, my point here is like something's got to give.
I think I'm gonna play. I'm not gonna. I feel like I have to prioritize Final Fantasy 16.
Because Diablo's a game you can play forever. So I'm thinking,
and it's only fun to play with somebody else.
I was gonna say, I think we should wait until we can play it together.
We have to play it together, or else it's not fun.
What I am proposing
right now in this video?
on the podcast is that we wait on Diablo 4.
Okay, I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be here.
But the reviews are really good.
I know! I saw it this weekend,
like,
right?
we were both
literally panicked.
We were both worried about this game just based on like what's going on with Blizzard, but it seems like it's great.
Yeah,
so.
What did we put in our predictions? I can't remember. We got to look back.
Our Street Fighter predictions were very high. And I think the Metacritic I saw is like, now it's like a 92. So
yeah,
that's
I was out on a good streak. My Zelda prediction was exactly right on. I think my Street Fighter predictions I had higher. So
yeah.
Anyways, we're close. But anyway, so I agree. I think we should wait on Diablo 4, at least until you come back from your long vacation.
Exactly.
You're just trying to like, I'm gonna just play with somebody else.
I'm not coming back.
Ever? All right. See
ya. The podcast will continue while I'm gone. By the way, with me.
Not with you.
Not some bunk co-host you might dig up.
Dig up? This is where we have like co-host tryouts and you just get replaced before you get
Open
back.
mic!
And then I'm playing Diablo with that person instead.
All right, fine.
So you can just
good luck with
see
that.
you later and have fun at that Taiwanese 7-Eleven.
On to the news. No, wait. We are on to the news. We are going to get started with the news with our poll, though. That's why I got confused.
Okay.
So we were going to talk about the PlayStation Showcase. We're going to talk about some of the news that's been coming out afterwards. Because we actually have a full reaction that's up that we did, which you should watch.
Yes.
But we started with a poll that we put out right after the showcase happened, just asking our Patreon subscribers what they thought and what letter grade they would give it. So from top to bottom, 6% said A, 18% said B, 49% said C, 23% said D, and 4% said F. This is almost a perfect bell curve.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. C is what I would agree with that.
I think C minus, if we're doing pluses and minuses.
Right.
But yeah, I would agree with that as well.
So we were wrong on a lot of our predictions.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of people who were doing predictions had stuff that was like similar to us, where it's like, this is
very
a big,
lofty.
it's a big moment for PlayStation,
yes.
and like they kind of didn't deliver on that.
No.
So let's look at some comments. Gartooth said this was the first PlayStation showcase in 2 years, but it didn't live up to the hype. Lots of CGI trailers, hardly any games with actual release dates locked in, and completely weird pacing and segments like putting in a Gran Turismo movie trailer. I will never get over that.
That is the weirdest thing. Yeah, that was... Okay,
yeah, there were a lot of games where like you would watch the segment and you're like, I have no clue what this is based on what I was shown.
And it's like that thing that we had a critique of too when we were watching like some other showcases last year. We were like, why is it so much CG? Like, I feel like the only actual gameplay we saw was for Spider-Man, which is a game that we knew was coming.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the deal with these games? Like, are they all just like super early or what? Yeah.
To counter that, Tuscoob says, this was a great presentation with multiple heavy hitter titles across all genres. It makes me genuinely surprised to see reactions calling a presentation with Spider-Man 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake mid. From what I gather, it seems like people only want to see stuff from IPs they know. Okay.
That's fair.
Fair point.
Those are the two probably best moments in that showcase, I would say.
I don't know about that Metal Gear trailer.
I mean, for people that are really excited about Metal Gear, it's
I've gone back and watched that trailer. That's a weird trailer.
I was like, I don't get it.
What
and then
is going on
it
there?
Snake Eater.
Yeah.
Haha.
How do you say it? Why you wahoo says...
Why you wahoo?
Why you wahoo? Why you wahoo? Okay. This was the most Xbox a Sony event has ever felt. That meaning they did what Xbox usually does and showed off a lot of concept and teasers without giving much substance. The ending combo of new hardware and Spider-Man made it a worthwhile watch, along with Metal Gear and a few other things, but in general it felt like watching the previews at the movies before the Spider-Man movies started.
That's such a great way to put it. Wow. I love it.
And then finally Kai Wright says, I paused Tears of the Kingdom for this?
Oh no. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
It's quite a long showcase, you know?
Over an hour, yeah.
Over an hour.
It was like an hour 15.
Yeah. I mean, okay, well, we have some news around this.
Yeah, so
let's
there
get
have been
into that.
trickling things coming out of this after the show wrapped. So, we want to talk about a few of these. So this Project Q hardware that they announced has caused a lot of confusion. You changed my pun!
Oh, you put that there on purpose?
I had written down
Confusion?
Project Q confusion, but the confusion was spelled with a Q.
I thought it was a typo.
No, confusion. You can spell, like Mortal Kombat, everything is spelled with a K.
Oh, no.
It's a joke and you didn't even get it. It's an inside joke and you didn't even get it. Oh my gosh.
Confusion.
Confusion.
No one can see this paper except for you and I.
Diablo's off the table.
You're off the table as a host.
So, a lot of people have been saying, like, this is basically...
like a Wii U situation, the Wii U gamepad.
All the jokes have been going around comparing it to a Wii U. This is not at all what this thing is, though.
No. People seem very confused about how remote play works, weirdly.
Right. This is a remote play device. So, basically, and there's a lot of devices like this that already exist, and you can also just do it on your phone or your laptop.
Yeah,
but basically,
you do it with like your
I do. I have the
backbone, right? Yeah.
So if you have your system on and that's connected to Wi-Fi, you can go and connect to another Wi-Fi point and basically play that game.
And play it. Yeah.
So big difference from the Wii U, which needed to always be tethered to the system, and was giving you some sort of a second screen experience.
Yeah, no,
this is the ones you're getting the screen just on this device.
Yeah, this is more of a Switch experience where you're supposed to be able to take your game on the go.
Right. So remote play is a great system if you have solid internet.
Yes, I use it quite a lot actually.
But it was interesting to see that people were
confused by it.
It got to the point where it's like, I don't know if people are actually confused, if they're just having fun making jokes.
Yeah.
So, and the thing with that though is like, there are people who are genuinely looking for information who see jokes and get suckered into thinking that is the fact. I don't know.
I know. That's not great, you guys.
I went, as this was happening, I was like, I need to double check that I'm not actually wrong about this. No follow-up on any Sony channel.
Right.
At all about this, which I thought was
that's
strange.
really bizarre. That's something that was so like top of mind at Nintendo. Like whenever there was a big direct or a big showcase, or around E3 time, when there was a big presentation, if there was confusion around something, an announcement, like we were the first in line to quickly clear up any confusion.
Right.
So it was weird that Sony didn't have like any sort of
because the longer it lingers, like the longer you can ask yourself, like, is it a Wii U?
I know, and then the more jokes that are out there without an official statement from Sony, people who genuinely are looking for info are going to have a harder and harder time understanding what actually this is.
Yeah. So again, this is a bad start for this.
Why?
This was a niche product to begin with, though, because this is how much do you think this is going to cost?
$299.
Wow.
$199?
It could be. No, I mean, you got to pay the Sony tax.
I think it's $299.
It's not going to be cheap. I mean,
how much do you think it's going to cost?
I think it'll either be $200 or $250, which is a lot of money still for something like this. So, like, you can get a backbone for $100. You need a phone, but everybody's got a phone.
Yeah, you can use it with the phone you already have.
But I can kind of see why they want to make this, even if it's not going to be to like legitimize remote play.
Exactly.
Because it's like, okay, remote play is a thing. We're doing more with streaming. Streaming is going to be important in the future.
Yep.
We need to have
a dedicated device
that we make,
to
kind of show people, like, yes, this is a priority for us. Yes,
this is going to be the future too. Like you're going to have these options when you're playing. Again, when we're talking about like Switch copycats or like. Not copycats, I guess this is not the right phrasing for it, but it's like, that market for taking your games wherever you go kind of thing. And like the more success Switch has, the more other companies will want to have that option for people as well. And Microsoft talks about it a lot with their streaming stuff. And now Sony has this dedicated device for it as well. It's like you can see the writing on the wall here,
Absolutely.
That competition is going to be out there. So whenever the next Switch comes out, they'll have to deal with that landscape.
There's been new information about the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. So you need to follow this Metal Gear Twitter account.
I do follow it, and I'm like, the more I read it, the more confused I am. So anyways.
So the name of the game has this triangle on
Delta,
it.
which we said.
You noted that right away. So they explained this. The Delta symbol was chosen because its meaning fits the concept of the remake project. Delta means change or difference without changing structure.
Yeah, so sciencey.
Trying hard to be very Kojima-esque here.
Without
but
Kojima,
not. I mean, between this and the trailer, it feels like they're trying really hard to get that Kojima big brain stuff out there. But
it's like you can't do it though, because he's the only one with the brain.
Right, you cannot emulate him. He's one of the few people you cannot do that to.
Yeah.
So it's also come out. There was a couple of days where it's like, so who's making this? And nobody really knew, but they've come out and said the lead developer is Virtuous. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And there are some people, they said, who had experience with Metal Gear within Konami before. I'm curious if they will ever name who they are to understand like what
hierarchy
like were they like the intern on
getting Kojima's coffee, or are you like doing anything? Yeah.
I have a feeling I there's somebody in my mind who I worked with when I was at Konami who I'm thinking it might be.
Really?
In which case, don't get your hopes up.
Oh.
Just saying.
Ouch.
I didn't name who it was.
That's painful. Will you tell me afterwards?
You won't know.
Oh, okay.
So Virtuous has worked on a lot of like little odds and ends. Like they worked on the Switch version of Nier Automata, which was a lot of people said was a really great version.
Yeah.
I'm still extremely worried about this.
Skeptical, yeah.
Because even if you're doing a straight remake, this seems like their aspirations to do a little bit more than that based on the Delta part.
Change or difference without changing structure.
And again, there's so many small details in those games that Kojima put in there that I feel like only he is really capable of translating in the right way.
Yeah.
So you could look at it and be like, oh, well, that's the source material is right there. This should be really easy. For most games,
Yes.
I would generally agree. This is like one of the small handful of series where I'd be like, I'm not comfortable with this.
The other thing is the landscape of remakes that we live in now, which is the bar is so high.
Yeah.
Because we've had so many wonderful remakes with Metroid Prime, with Resident Evil 4. Now people are like, when they hear the word remake, it's not the same connotation as it used to have, where it's like, oh, whatever, it's just going to be some straight port, you know?
Yeah.
Now people expect you to like really do something to make it feel new and fresh and special. And these other games have done it successfully. So now the bar is pretty high. And I feel like if you don't meet that bar, it's going to be like really bad, like really disappointing, you know? So
yeah,
what happens.
I remain concerned about this. And then finally they said, so they are also releasing the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, which includes
Oh yeah, that's right.
Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
On their website, they had a big like question mark next to it, but it was just listed on the PlayStation Store what it is. So it's the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, not Metal Gear Solid, like the very old original Metal Gear games. So that's a great package.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know if they've said if they're selling those individually, if you have to buy them all at once, but I am all over that.
That's cool. Yeah.
Because I actually really, I'm at the point where I want to replay a lot of those games.
Yeah,
Not
it's been a really
not
long
Metal Gear
time.
Solid 2. Not
Not
Gear
an
Solid
odd
2.
number
No,
Metal Gear
even
Solid.
number.
Even number. Oh, even numbers are bad.
I don't like the even numbers.
Oh boy, The Last of Us.
Yeah, this was one of the big omissions from the showcase. We're
This
like,
multiplayer.
where's this multiplayer game for Last of Us that they have been literally out there talking about, saying we're going to see more this year.
I
so
know.
Jason Schreier, we had a Schreier bomb drop a couple days after saying that Naughty Dog had really scaled back on the project, kind of reassessing what they've got, and kind of as a result of him, doing that story, they put out a statement on Twitter.
Yeah.
Basically saying, they need more time working on it. They're going to keep working on it. They also mentioned that they're working on a single player experience.
Yeah.
This was one of those very strange, like Friday afternoon news drops. Seems bad. Our friend Greg Miller took to twitter.com to say this project is going to get canceled.
Well, after the PlayStation Showcase, Greg is probably in like dire straits.
I tend to agree with that statement.
Yeah. Oh, poor Greggy.
Bad news here.
I think it's going to get canceled too.
Yeah.
It just seems like they may prioritize the single player one over this multiplayer experience.
Yeah, I think it's a hard challenge of what they wanted to do with this, which is, have a fun multiplayer game that could be a live service, but also have the story trappings of this series.
Yeah, but also make it more accessible for people to.
That's really hard. So I understand why they might have had a challenge with that. So
yeah,
I mean, maybe this is a blessing in disguise that realize kind of midway that this is not what we wanted. Doesn't meet our bar for quality.
And just like get out and
just,
focus on the thing.
Cut bait and move on.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like they're probably feeling so much pressure too, because Last of Us is and was such a big topic of mainstream general audience conversation after the TV show.
Right.
They're trying to figure out probably what is the next sort of best way to go with the game so that they can really capitalize on that and what that might be. So
the question I have is why were you out there just casually, offhandedly talking about this before an official announcement? You probably shouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have this problem if this game if you hadn't just been saying like, oh yeah, and there's this multiplayer thing we're working on. You didn't need to do that.
Yeah, no one was asking about it.
Right.
Just like volunteering.
You probably thought like, oh well, this is our soft campaign to get the word out or something.
Didn't think that strategy through very well.
Backfired. Yeah. Finally, this is a hot story. So the Dolphin emulator has been delisted from Steam.
I saw that.
Nintendo asked Valve to take that down. And they put out a statement.
C&D. They C&D'd it.
Right. Nintendo put out a statement explaining their thought process, saying Nintendo's committed to protecting the hard work and creativity of video game engineers and developers. A spokesperson told Kotaku, this emulator illegally circumvents Nintendo's protection measures and runs illegal copies of games. Using illegal emulators or illegal copies of games harms development and ultimately stifles innovation. Nintendo respects the intellectual property rights of other companies and in turn expects others to do the same. None of this is surprising.
No. As soon as this was announced, I was waiting for the day for them to shut it down.
Yeah. Emulation is one of those things where like both sides feel incredibly passionately about it and their minds shall not be changed.
Yeah, Nintendo has a very black and white perspective on emulation, which is that you cannot do it.
But in the community as well. So I don't care to wade into that firestorm. What I will say is like this was like you said, like this was the most obvious thing that was ever going to happen because Nintendo wants to have a good relationship with Valve. Valve wants to have a good relationship with Nintendo.
Exactly.
Like Nintendo is not getting every Valve game, but there's enough that it's, and you know, there's two major companies in the industry. Like, it makes sense for them to not make each other mad.
Right.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that is a smart business move on both sides.
Yeah.
To come to an amicable decision or whatever conclusion on this. But as soon as I saw this, I was like, I'm ticking the days until this gets removed.
I mean, Steam's like, their thing with this is very like, they seem very fast and loose about what they let on there.
Right.
It's not going through like some crazy rigorous
process
multi-step review process.
And that is the Steam, that's like one of the cool things about the Steam community too, is that you get to have all these kinds of experiences. But obviously...
So I don't think that is going to change about Steam.
I don't think so either, yeah.
But when you get a phone call from Nintendo saying, what's the deal with this? Are you down with this? Of course you'd be like, no, we'll take it down.
Yeah, of course they're not going to fight Nintendo on this.
Of course.
And again, very black and white at Nintendo in terms of emulation. So that was a no-brainer. Unfortunately, no Dolphin emulator.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into our questions from the Patreon community. Every question we get is from our Patreon subscribers. Today we're starting, with a question from Cerulean Dragon. Hey, Kit and Krysta, hope you're both having fun with Tears of the Kingdom. Myself, I just reached Tarrytown. In Breath of the Wild, there was a series of quests where you'd go around Hyrule and recruit people with sun as a suffix to their name and come to the town and the town would grow. So when I got there, I was a little disappointed that most NPCs addressed Link like they've never met him before. Given that not every player may have completed the quests in Breath of the Wild, I understand, but it got me thinking. I wish they had done more with Breath of the Wild save data than just bring over your horses. I would have loved to see Breath of the Wild save data have an impact on how characters interact with you based on what quests you completed in the first game. I think games such as Mass Effect have done this in the past, though I haven't played them to know for certain. Would you have liked to see a feature like this? What are your thoughts? Thanks.
I always found it so weird that you are like Hyrule's last defense, but no one seems to know who the heck you are in this world. Like, you go somewhere and they're like, who are you? You're like, hello. I'm literally...
They barely just got a newspaper.
The hero of for your salvation, but whatever. And no one helps you at all. You have to like cook your own meals and like pay for stuff. No one helps you. You're trying to like save them. It's so funny.
Do you think hundreds of years ago everybody knew like, oh yeah, Napoleon, he's the man, he's doing it.
If Abraham Lincoln showed up and was like, hey, I'm here to like save you, you probably recognize Abraham Lincoln. You wouldn't recognize Abraham
I don't know.
Okay, but that's not the question. The question is, should they have done more with Breath of the Wild save data? I kind of wish that they did, honestly. Like, that would be a really great reward for so many like avid fans that have sunk like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in Breath of the Wild.
The fact that they did do it with the horses makes you want more. If they had done nothing,
then you're like, okay, everyone's starting from scratch.
Yeah, it's like, all right, it's just a fresh game, fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that it's just the horses.
Like, you hate the horses, so you're like, I don't care about this.
There probably are more things that you could have done with that. Like one thing, like this would have been super easy and like a nothing is, you know, in the intro scene, before you like lose everything, you have full hearts. Like they could have given you exactly what you had when you finished Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. So
That would have
you
been a
know.
really easy way.
Yeah, so you can see like this
Yeah.
is where
Oh, yeah,
I was.
this is where I was.
And then now I don't have any
Right.
of it, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I know. I think some of the ways that they do pay some homage to Breath of the Wild beyond the horses, it is in the main storyline because you do meet like characters that were related to the characters that
Yeah.
you met in Breath of the Wild. But yeah, it's something else, like something they can give to your character as a way to like say that you've played this game, like even like an outfit.
Yeah.
Like give me the Hylian hero, the champion's tunic as an item.
You gotta find that.
Just give it to me. You know, like I played 300 hours of Breath of the Wild. You can't give me a champion's tunic? Come on.
Nope.
Now. Give me a Switch 2 shirt, whatever.
Where is the Switch shirt?
It's not there. Never again.
Yeah, I don't think it needs like the Mass Effect is like probably overkill for a game like this, but
like a little commemorative item would
something
be
else.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like floored that there was nothing beyond the horses. I'm like, really? 300 hours? You nothing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Daniel R asks, "Hi Kit and Krysta, you are the very first creators I have ever supported on Patreon.
Wow.
I appreciate the professionalism and charm you bring to your videos. In a hobby that can be often dominated by negativity, the wholesomeness and sheer fun of your approach is quite refreshing. I have a question regarding Nintendo's 2 tentpole series. Given the immense critical and financial success Zelda has experienced in its last 2 entries, do you think there is any additional pressure on the Mario team to, quote, keep up? I ask because, excellent as it was, Odyssey doesn't seem to have had the long-term critical impact as Breath of the Wild, and while Mario remains missing in action, the Zelda team seems to have captured lightning in a bottle twice with Tears of the Kingdom. Mario will always be more of a profitable IP overall, but how important is it to Nintendo that the next mainline entry match Zelda's impact and critical acclaim? Might there be some friendly competition in the same way Nintendo's regional offices sometimes compete over resources and sales? Thanks for your time and keep up the good work."
I would say that one game award where Mario Odyssey and Tears of I'm getting confused with the names now. Breath of the Wild were both nominated for Game of the Year. Was really funny. We did have a little friendly competition. Like you were on the Zelda side, I was on the Mario side. Hey, we lost. It's okay. But there was a bit of competition. But the one thing that I thought was hilarious is we were talking. I was talking to the development team for Mario Odyssey. Like, so have you guys played Breath of the Wild? They're like, no. And then we were talking to the Breath of the Wild team saying, have you guys played Mario Odyssey? No. We don't have time for that. Are you kidding me? So it's hilarious how sort of separate, you know, the teams are. They work completely in like their own little bubble. It's wild.
So in that Washington Post story with Mr. Aonuma, he was literally buying Zelda merch. And I'm also reminded of another story when Mr. Nogami and Mr. Yabuki came over for GDC.
Yeah.
They were doing like a tag team,
it's like an
arms and Splatoon thing.
Yeah.
We asked Mr. Yabuki like, "Oh, so have you played much Splatoon? What do you think?" He's like, "Oh, I rented it."
Yeah, they
you have to rent the game.
They have this like
you
little library where they like rent games.
You can't just get it.
I might rent that later. I'm like, what? Okay, this seems weird.
It's like you're a really important guy here.
You could just ask.
Seems like they should just give it to you.
It was weird. It was very weird. Like the way that they had to, they keep kind of in their own little groups is very interesting. But also, I don't know the answer whether it's good or bad, because maybe the reason why the magic is so magical is because they live in like an ivory tower of their own making. But maybe it can be more magical if they like mixed a little bit. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But whatever they're doing seems to be working.
Wait until Tears of the Kingdom wins Game of the Year over Mario the Movie the Game, which will of course be announced any day now at the Game Awards.
In terms of Mario this year, I feel like it's kind of interesting to see Mario take a different path to fame and stardom beyond games, right? Instead of like Mario being... Instead of another big Mario game being the thing that everyone's talking about, it's like the movie, the theme park, like that's the Mario presence that everyone is talking about. So Mario's certainly not forgotten this year. Mario certainly is still front and center, but sort of in a different way than Zelda is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting the different entertainment paths they've taken with this.
I agree. Mario is now like in the
Mickey Mouse
a different echelon.
I know.
That is like gone beyond just games.
Yeah, so I would say that's even more
Yeah.
important.
Right.
But it does, your statement is very true, is that the next Mario game, people's expectations are very, very high. There's so many more people that are now really aware of Mario or want to see more Mario again, because they watched the movie or they went to the theme parks and now they're like, I want to play another Mario
New
game.
Super Mario Brothers Switch, here it comes. Wah, wah. Gartooth has the next question. What are your thoughts on the sales of Metroid Prime Remastered from the latest Nintendo earnings? The game sold 1.09 million copies and came with a very non-traditional release, between the Shadow Drop physical copies arriving weeks later and it being priced at $40. If you had to guess, would this have been the kind of result Nintendo was looking for? Also, do you think we will see more games released with similar methods to this in the future?
Yeah, I think Nintendo's probably quite pleased with the results of this.
Metroid always seemed to be the very rare series where the expectations were reasonable.
I was going to say, like, they probably didn't have super high goals.
Like, there is no, like, the crazy stretch goal that we joke about, or like the goal being completely, like, unattainable. Like, with Metroid, that didn't seem to happen.
Yeah, and then you can even see it in the way they price the game and launch the game. Is that they have a very sort of reasonable approach to not holding on too tightly to this, even though they do treat Metroid as one of the AAA franchises.
Right.
So I think it's because in their minds, they still, really think of Metroid as more of a niche audience, even though I think Metroid has more potential than that. But yeah, the expectations are quite managed for Metroid, so I'm sure they're very happy with it.
Yeah, I saw some people online saying, I think being a bit disappointed at that number, because there was a stretch where it was like, that's what everybody was talking about and playing. But yeah, I think this is probably right in line with what they expected.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ninja11 asks, hi Kit and Krysta, what is Nintendo's perspective on the sales of ARMS? They clearly had a lot of marketing behind it between the tourneys and Min Min's addition to Smash, yet I feel like it failed to meet sales expectations for a brand new IP. I personally love ARMS because I like having lots of defensive options in a fighting game. However, most fighting game fans prefer having a lot of offensive options like fast movement and flashy combos, and ARMS doesn't provide that. Are the higher-ups putting the blame on the game or the marketing something else, or is our assumption wrong and they were pleased with the game's success? Thank you.
The game definitely was not a success. And unfortunately,
I wouldn't say it was a failure.
It wasn't a failure.
I think it was just right down the middle.
Well, I would say that Nintendo had some aspirations for ARMS to become more of a mainline thing, but the sort of the excitement for that game and the people's interest in that game fizzled out pretty quickly after launch. Unfortunately, I'm an ARMS fan as well. I love that. I love that game. I love fighting games where there's a different style that is not like inaccessible to people that play fighting games differently. So I agree with you that it's a great game. I think there are some shortcomings with the IP. We've talked about this a little bit. Is that like one of the things that we wish we saw with ARMS that we think could have given it a little bit more longevity is just to understand the characters more. We were just talking about how fun it is to learn about like Street Fighter characters' backstories and really build like a connection to those characters. Like the ARMS characters were so interesting, but we never knew anything about them beyond like the like a very short bio and then just like using them in the game. So it just really, for new IP, it's so hard for you to build some sort of like interest or connection if you don't have that. We never really got that with ARMS, and I think that the IP sort of fizzled out before we had time to do any of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the sales were so unremarkable. And again, it was not like a bomb.
No.
But it was not like great like so many Nintendo games that I think if you're them, you're looking at from like a resource perspective. It's like, all right, we're going to have this many developers work on a game for this long. Like, should we do another one of these or just put them on something else?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's probably put them on something else.
And that team works on like Mario Kart and stuff like that. So they are busy.
Yeah.
They got stuff to do.
Yeah.
They got a game that makes money. So
maybe in true Nintendo fashion, somebody will be like, I'm going to make a new ARMS game in 25 years.
In 25 years?
I don't know. Like, no idea is ever like gone forever with
the next
Nintendo.
one's going to be legs.
Yeah.
You're going to have springy legs. You kick people with.
The nightmare continues. Prada Jake is the next question. Now that we've seemed to be approaching the end of the Switch life cycle, do you expect Nintendo will finally discount some of their first-party titles under the Nintendo Selects or Player's Choice label? Was the marketing team involved in deciding which games were part of Nintendo Selects when they did it for 3DS and GameCube before that? Always appreciate hearing your thoughtful insights every week. Thanks.
The selects.
So this is a move that you only do if you have to.
And you're like desperate.
So if your games are still selling well at full price,
you would never do
you
this.
don't do this.
Yeah. I think Switch is very unique in that way, where not only has it enjoyed a very long life cycle, and some of the other Nintendo consoles like 3DS enjoyed a similarly long life cycle, but the difference is that the daily playtime was so much lower in the end of the life of 3DS than it is for Switch. People are, how many years in are we? 6, 7 years? Many? So many years. People are, playing their Switch all the time, every day, which is like very rare. So for that reason, and the interest being so high, they might not need to discount anything. But they did have to do that because the playtime was so low towards the ends of these console life cycles that that was the way to get people back in, is to have some of these classic games that you may have missed discounted. Yeah,
unless there's like a drastic change in play styles on the Switch, I don't think they're going to need this. So I don't think we'll see it.
And yes, our sales strategy team, Retail Strats is what they were called, were the ones deciding which games were given that different packaging for Nintendo Selects. Yeah.
Pikmin Sneezecause is next. Hi, Kit and Krysta. Currently, there are only 3 main gaming hardware players: Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox. To spice things up, which company would you want to enter the market, disrupt the current status quo of the gaming world by adding more competition? I personally wish for Tencent. They have tremendous experience with hardware, and they have a bunch of talented gaming studios ready to work.
Ooh, Tencent would be scary because they have our info already, I think.
Oh no.
I wish that like indie devs would all group together under like some bigger label.
Ouya?
Well, not just one indie dev.
Bring it back.
Wow. You don't want them to lose their indie spirit and independence. But it'd be cool if they like could have some sort of indie conglomerate that would become the fourth thing. Because right now I think they're so dependent on we talked to a lot of indie devs who are like, please let us into your indie showcase or else we don't know how to market our game. It's like, darn, that sucks because your game is so good. So I wish there was some way to make them feel like the sum is bigger than the parts kind of thing. Like that would be great if that could become like the fourth thing. Yeah. It's like some cool indie collective. Yeah. I don't know what to call it.
In terms of hardware, I feel like what Xbox is doing and saying, I think is probably accurate to the future, where there's less of a need for physical hardware and it becomes more of a service, and you get you might get I have the official Xbox controller and that connects to whatever and that's beaming the games to me.
Right.
So I don't think it makes a ton of sense for people to be like, I'm launching a console now.
Yeah.
But companies that are suited to do it, I think Sneezekov makes a very good point about
Tencent?
Experience with hardware being important.
Yeah.
Because we've seen other companies try to get in, that's a challenging space to be in.
Try to get in and fail
if you haven't done it before. So I've said this before. I continue to think Amazon could be interesting if they really wanted to. They have their thing now, but they're obviously not making it a major priority for them. It's kind of more of a secondary thing. But they have experience with hardware and a lot of different devices.
Yeah.
They got a lot of money. And they seem to have, they have had some small wins in gaming where they probably have learned a thing or two.
They have learned some lessons.
About what this industry is and what works and how you need to nurture it in a way that's different from other businesses.
Yeah.
Would it work? I don't know, but they may have more success than some other people.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one as well.
Yeah. Last question is from Zelgaroth. I'm curious if you have any insight into this. And Zelgaroth has included an article here where the headline is Las Vegas neighborhood is naming their streets after Pokemon.
Yeah. This is a hilarious story. Have you read this story?
Let's finish the question. Does this kind of thing weaken an IP? On the other hand, can or would the Pokemon company send a cease and desist to a major city like Las Vegas?
Sure can. This story is so funny because it's like the city planner basically forgot to do this and then had to think of the name in like a week or something, or like 4 days. And so picked Pokemon.
How do these people decide what is a street versus an avenue versus a lane versus
I think it's the size of it. You have to, there's a
Is there a rhyme or reason to this?
I think there's like, if this is this many miles and this many lanes, it has to be like a street.
Okay.
I believe that's how it works. I'm not a city planner.
I hope there is some sort of a rhyme or reason, because otherwise that's something that could drive you crazy.
Jigglypuff.
This is a lane and this is a street and this is a boulevard and they're all the same.
Boulevards are bigger.
Okay.
It's like expressways, boulevards, streets, lanes, ways, place. I think that's how it goes.
Oh, wow. Well, look at you. How'd you know this?
I don't know. I've been making it up.
Huh.
I convinced you, though. There you go.
Pokemon, though, I don't think they like this.
They might be mad. Yeah. They might be mad. They definitely have the right to send a cease and desist to them. They're notoriously kind of bad about shutting things down like this.
Yeah.
So.
And on one hand, you could say, like, well, this is a very inoffensive use of the IP. On the other hand, it's a use of the IP that they are not authorizing or may not be in line with something they want to be associated with. So I think this is probably going to be short-lived.
I know. Go take your pictures now if you're in
Las Vegas.
Yikes. You can be on the corner. I'll meet you at the corner of Charmander and Jigglypuff.
Be slapping some pamphlets on the corner of Jigglypuff Avenue.
It's Jigglypuff Place, actually. I'll see you at Bulbasaur Way and Squirtle Lane. Thanks. That's pretty awesome, though. Like, what if you lived on like Bulbasaur Way?
That'd be cool.
Or yeah, your street address is like blah blah Squirtle. It's awesome. Anyways.
All right. That is all of our questions for this week.
Wow.
Let's go ahead and shout out some of our Patreon superstars, our wonderful superstars tier.
Yes. Here we go.
All right.
Aaron Hash.
Ben Acorn.
Maru Mayhem.
Eigenverse.
Kiss My Flapjack.
Mike Chin.
Mr. Rogers.
Roy Eschke.
Switching It Up _
Safazon.
The Shark Among Men.
VGM Life.
Link, the hero of Winds.
Angela Bycroft and her pig Molly.
Turbocharge Nerd.
Thomas O'Rourke.
Kyle LaBeouf.
Christopher Lara.
And Simon. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Are we going to try to speed run this again?
I'm going to say yes, but this is our last chance to do it.
Okay, I'm going to really just commit to memory.
Hunker down.
Frederick Oof Conrad.
Yeah, do that one in advance.
Okay, I'm ready.
Here we go.
Aaron Burgundy.
Adam Ainsley.
Jean Malari.
Ali Alejandro.
Alexandra Pratt.
Andrew Uhas.
Astrodev.
Dadwin Horizon.
Blazing Enthused.
Bookham Dano.
Brad SF556.
Brooke Obscura.
Brookie Kazuki.
Bruce Dash.
Chelly Squirrel.
Christopher Lay.
Cozy Tar.
Captain Alex.
Steve Roper 17.
Daniel Cold.
Daniel Phillips.
Daniel Valencia.
Dawson.
Desert Cole 18.
Dash.
Dolce.
Dynapunch.
Lily Peach.
Elk 790.
Espars 50.
Farpree 69.
Fairbairn.
Fernie Just Forever.
Fox Deploy.
Fred Bressy.
Frederick Wolf Converson.
Garrett Colfish.
Garth the Wolf.
Garchu.
G-Sun 101.
Ian Shit.
Iris Marin.
Izzy Izzy.
Jay Randa.
Jabroni Jones.
JBJ.
Jeff Hernandez.
Jerry 19602.
Jesse Hernandez.
John Responte.
Jonathan Rowe.
Jonathan Collette.
Jordan.
No, I messed it up. It's my fault.
And you got Frederick Kondratzen.
Jerry 926. I was like, Jerry. And moving on.
Where are we? Jordan Hemmerly.
We got further.
Yeah, we got Jordan Hemmerly.
Joseph DeHaze.
Joshua Clements.
Juji Fruit.
Just Camtro.
Justin Lemminger.
Kaba 2796.
Keith Kwan.
Kelp Shake.
Kevin Delane.
Kilo Kibo.
Krisu.
Christopia Party With Me.
Kyle Gamer Barry Rookie.
Kyle Kratzer.
Kyler Nelson.
Linnell Stickman.
Lemma.
Lit.
Mad Dog 5981.
Marky Man 64.
Mecha Dragon 101.
Megan.
Michael Cravens.
Mikey.
Motomania.
Mr. Andy Pond.
MSM Poke Gamer.
Mr. Beans and Dip.
Mytran.
Nasir.
Nathan Burkhart.
Ninja 11.
Panda Buns.
Paul C. Pace.
Paul Gale Network.
Prime Factor.
Prince Charmless.
Raver.
Rain Tech.
Ray Chiron, sorry.
Ryuji Utsu Oku'u.
Renee Rivers.
Rick Alvarado.
Ryoth 1.
RJ Kern.
Rob Osborne.
Rox.
Ryanetta.
Sam Nealon.
Sharif Jackson.
Shinryu.
Slowbro.
Shrews.
Silly Ferret.
SJ Sharky 777.
Spicy Munchkin.
Steel Citrone.
Tales of Link.
Tefew.
Tara Storm.
The T-Man.
Thomas Alvarez.
Topher Schmofer.
Travis Torline.
Troopage.
Tugs Puppy Bear.
Tuskoob.
Twin Dragon 76.
Tyler Geist.
Tyler and Tracy.
Vesves.
Video Game Stupid.
Virtual Bot.
Wicked Davy.
Will Ernst.
Will Johnson.
Zudaver.
Zelgaroth.
Zapatty.
And Zoroid.
Speaking of Captain Alex, he sent us an update over the weekend on some of the stuff that's coming together for the Kit and Krysta custom controller.
You guys that pre-ordered will be getting yours a little bit earlier, Captain Alex said.
It's all looking good.
And the box came in.
Looks beautiful.
And he showed us the box, and it looks so nice. The pins are getting. I really wish. Really hope that Captain Alex is sending one to us.
Only one?
Captain Alex, if you're listening, can I have
Did
one?
I need to pre-order?
Do I need to pre-order my own controller?
Yo, you missed the cutoff. You can't have one.
Oh no. But yes, I'm really excited. I'm excited for people who order to get it, and hopefully you guys love it as much as we do. Yay! It's exciting stuff. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/KitandKrysta to support this channel and keep it going. If you want to hear more stories from inside Nintendo and all of our industry updates and insights, support us, please.
If you are watching this on video on YouTube, you can go ahead and subscribe to our channel, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment. If you're one of our great audio listeners, you can also subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and also leave a comment for us.
And don't forget to follow us on the socials. We are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. That's it.
That is it.
We'll be back next week. Bye!
Bye!